Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Works with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network. Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Wow, all that intro music and stuff. I'm used to Science and Beyond. I don't have to do all that fancy music and stuff. I don't know what all that noise was about. No, I know, guys. Before everybody gives me trouble. Yes, the intro was backwards, by the way. Y'all didn't notice the promo should have been before the music. But anyway, we'll find out who did that. I hope everyone's having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you're on our big, beautiful blue planet. I've only been saying this for, almost 30 years now. There is no other one place I want to be on Wednesday night. The show has a great audience. We have a great following around the world. It's a lot of fun. We're in every time zone on the planet. And as far as I know, this show goes out to every country in the world. We have not found one that we don't broadcast. And we do our numbers on different meetings that we have. We go through all the different archive sites we have and all the live sites we have and see who's listening to us and who's not. We know for a fact we have about 27 listeners in North Korea, which it has to be someone in upper echelon because there's no one else would be allowed to listen to us there. We know places like Venezuela, we actually have a few hundred people listen to us in Venezuela. So same thing in Cuba. Cuba, though, I actually think they're picking up from one of the Miami servers, to be honest with you. I don't think it's actually a live server in Cuba anyway. I think they're actually picking up off of either one of the Miamis, or somebody may have extended the Miami service down to one of the Keys or something. So they might be picking us up like that. Russia, for 2 years, was our number one country. And then China took over. Now America's back. It's a weird thing watching. India is on the rise. So I just thought I'd tell you that we have our other organization has a big following in India, and now the station's starting to pick up a nice size following there. So it's great. It's weird though. I remember the first time I actually seen we had a listener in Timbuktu. I remember as a kid thinking, my mom's full of BS. There's no place called Timbuktu. Get the out of here. There's nobody got no Timbuktu going on anywhere. Of course, it is a real place, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. And we actually have listeners there, which surprises me. We have them all over China. As far as I know, we are probably the only station of this kind American in China. We got lucky. We were in Hong Kong when they were taken back. I had to go through a bunch of dancing and swear I wouldn't talk about Xi Jinping, and they let us stay. And all of a sudden, we were in Beijing, and now we're everywhere. I mean, we're even little provinces I didn't even know they had in China. It's great to see us growing there. I don't know what it means, but it's interesting. What really gets me is this 1.4 billion there now, 1.3, 1.4. How many of them have to speak English? Because nobody in the station speaks Mandarin. We all speak English. We do have one guy on here that can speak Mandarin. He used to teach it. But the rest of us speak English, and some of that not even so well. We're going to get back to all of that in just a little while. We had Todd McCaffrey with us tonight. I'm going to get him to tell you a little bit about himself in a minute. Todd is an interesting character, is all I can say. I've had the pleasure of meeting Todd for 2 years in a row now out at Writers of the Future. He's one of the judges out there, which is I hate to say it like this, is probably one of the minor things he does in life, because the man got more books than he probably got years alive. But anyway, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But he's a character, and I mean that in the most sincere and the most, and just with all my heart. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a lot of fun to hang out with. But he don't take any guff at anybody. I notice when he thinks he's right, buddy, you better back your ass up because he thinks he's right. Sounds like somebody else I know, you audience members out there. But no, he is really a good guy. And to be honest, and before I let him introduce himself properly, I get to see these guys in a couple of different ways. So, the winners are all out there. The winners are nervous to start off with. These are some big judges they're talking to. These aren't run-of-the-mill judges. All these guys are very well known. Some have movie credits, some have big books, some have all kind of books. There's also a lot of big illustrators that come out there. But the thing about it is they're not being paid. It's not like, Elron said, hey, hey Todd, let me slip you this 25 here. I'm talking about 25 G's, guys, not $25 for coming in, hanging out, for the weekend or for the week. And I mean this sincerely, guys. They're out there for a full week with a bunch of people from around the planet who are writers. Now, the illustrators got to deal with their own headaches themselves, but just watching this to me is exhilarating and hilarious all at the same time. It's because everybody's nervous except for the judges. The judges are very confident. None of them are really young. They all got their stuff together, and they all know each other, which makes it even worse. But anyway, Ty, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into writing, and we'll get started there. Oh, sorry, guys.
Hey, well, I'm Todd McCaffrey. According to Amazon, actually, Joe, you're right. I have more books published than I have years of age. Working on that. Just finished the first draft of another book today. People would know me a lot if they've ever read my mother's series, The Dragon Riders of Pern, starting with Dragonflight. I got to collaborate with her and write a couple more books, 8 more books in that universe, which is a lot of fun. I've kind of been all over the place. I am a U.S. Army vet. I'm a licensed pilot. I've lived in Ireland and then L.A. and now here in Las Vegas. So I've kind of been all over the place. And I started off as a reader. When we look at Writers of the Future, one of the reasons that most of us judges are there is because we need more stuff to read. So we're sitting there going like, yeah. Let me read more stuff. Let me encourage people to get into this marvelous world. So that's about it.
No, Jax. They read like Linda does, like warp speed read. No, they read everything. They don't know. See, you're getting confused. I learned how to speed read because of schematic stuff. It's not the same thing. When you speed read, it doesn't matter what you're reading, especially if you read novels or anything good, you're going to miss out if you speed read, because there's just certain things you're leaving out, words and verbs and stuff that are your brain is taught to leave out. Well, those make a difference in a story. They don't so much make a difference in a schematic, but they make a difference in a story. Trust me, I know from personal experience for reading. But no, they read a lot. I mean, like to my wife, and right now she's on vacation because she needs new glasses, so she's on my ass about that. But she reads like, look, I'll give her a book. Like, I remember, this is a long time ago, so I bring her home the hard copy of Anne Rice's vampire book, the first one, right? Interview with a Vampire. So I handed it to her. It's a big book, okay. So I go out, I'm seeing some friends, came back, got something to eat, went to come back, picked it, she's through. Like, what do you mean you threw? I said, do you know how much that book cost, baby? I need another one. It's like an addition. So one of the reasons it's nice about radio is I have a lot of books into me. And before Katrina came, we literally had 5 cases, over 4,000 books, ranging on 100 and 150. We had a linen library at the house, actually, well, in the studio. So you could actually come in the studio and drop off a book, pick up a book. There's all kind of topics there. A lot of them are autographed, from different people I've met over the years. Well, Katrina kind of that. But Katrina didn't actually get them wet. There was just enough water got in my house, about 6 inches, because my house was higher and mettery. And it swole all the books. It was like they would just, it was like a giant sponge. It swole the books so much that they busted the sides off the cases. I was like, look at this. So, we lost a lot of books. We managed to save about 400. And since we've probably been given another 400 or 500, but I give away a lot. I mean, last year I gave away almost 600 books. This year I'm going to give away pretty much that for November and December. I've got 3 boxes I got to go drop off to local college, to local high schools for Writers of the Future, people who have bought a case to donate to one of the local schools, so I would give them one of my autographed copies of 38 because I got 3 of them. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Maybe I stole Zane's or somebody's, or maybe they got Lathers. I don't know. Somehow I ended up with 3 of them suckers. I'm not sure how that happened, and it was so funny. I forgot who was on the air. Was it John? Somebody else. Anyway, they were watching me. I was holding one up, and the first thing you hear, oh, it's autographed. It was Echo. I said, how do you know? She says, well, I see the little yellow piece of paper right there. It was still stuck in the book where they had to sign them. Yeah, guys, they have these massive signings, which is first off, they have what do you call it when y'all introduce the artist to the author?
You mean the cover reveal?
Yeah, the cover reveal.
Yeah.
That's it. Because it always freaks me out a little bit because now that I've seen 3 years of it, man, some of the illustrators are right on the money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100%, but man, guys, I'm honestly telling y'all, when you read the anthology or if you get one of the books, and they're behind me, you can't see them right now, but I'll move where you can see them in a little while. All that artwork in there is also winners for the illustrators people. And they match up, I forgot who does it, but they match up the artist to the author and let them do the artwork for the book. Man, so far it's been really, really good. Now I haven't been through all the books, even though I've got what I've got here. I've got 30 through 38 sitting behind us back here on it, along with a Battlefield Earth up there too. And then the whole collection of all the great Greek writers is behind it. Oh, I should say, I don't know if you would call them writers. What do you call them? My brain is fried tonight. That's what happens when I do construction all day and then come do radio. It's like, whoa, what's going on? Anyway, when it comes back to me, guys, I'll come back and tell y'all. But we got it. Just I love a good book, not as much as my wife does, mind you. I mean, she's a reading fiend, and that's what I find with most of the authors, the good authors, especially, are just reading fiends. And y'all are just soaking up. But even the winners, when I was talking to a lot of the winners, they're like, yeah, give me a book, give me. It's like I need a fix, man. Y'all think I'm playing, guys? I'm being serious. It's they are serious about it. But I know Jack. I already seen that question, so hold on. So first thing, what was it when you were a kid, young man, young boy, 20s, 30s, 10, 5, whenever it was? What was it? I mean, were you just sitting there one day and said, okay, I can write a book? Yeah. Or I can write. Let me rephrase it. I can write, because not everybody started off with a book. But I mean, what was it? Because I think of myself, I want to write a book. And I've been trying to work on one, but I'm thinking, how do they do this? I mean, okay, I'm sitting there, I can write a book. No, I can't write a damn book.
Well, I mean, you got to go back to what you said about readers. I started reading, with everybody else. I was certainly reading in first grade and second grade. Third grade is kind of when the world opened up huge for me. I read Eleanor Cameron's The Wonderful Flight to the Mushroom Planet, which was just marvelous.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, it starts out with a dad saying, hey, there's an ad in the paper. That. Yeah, it was just a sweet little book. And I also, at the same time, I was big into space cats, because I was 9. And I started writing on and off. I was around somebody who'd been writing a lot. And I think part of it, we're all natural storytellers. we kind of have to be, you know,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
start
I
talking
agree.
about something and you have to build the story. You have to tell people, okay, yeah, I was outside waiting for the truck to come when it ran into my house. You know, we're all telling stories, but and as little kids, we love telling the, you know, I am the ruler of the universe story. It's almost always that way. Hey, look, everybody, you know, gave me superpowers and I'm running around the place beating up Tyrannosaurus Rexes. As we get older, most people don't want to listen to those stories anymore. And so we have to get more sophisticated. Yeah. So I started writing. Actually, I started writing when I was 12 or 13. I earned my first typewriter by learning how to touch type so I could write stories. And I wrote all the bad stories you can think of. There's a class of story in the science fiction world called a tomato surprise.
Oh shit.
The best example of that is the original Planet of the Apes, where at the very end, Charlton Heston comes around a corner and sees the destroyed Statue of Liberty, and it's like, oh my gosh, it was Earth all the time. That's a tomato surprise story. And you know, when you're 12 or 13, you think that way. Not everybody. I mean, there are people out there who are massively well-published authors at 12 and 13. I wasn't one of those. So that's kind of where I started. I made my first sale when, and there's a story back here. I made my first story when a great guy named Bill Fawcett basically twisted my arm or offered me money. You know, money is kind of helpful. Bill Fawcett's a really interesting guy. At one point, I was on a panel with Armin Shimmerman, who played what was it, Quark in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And Will Wheaton, who played Ensign Crusher in The Next Generation. And the question was, well, what got you into writing? And I said something like nepotism, because my mom, you know, is a famous author. And then it went over to Armin. He said, well, actually, it was Bill Fawcett who got me to write first. He went, yeah, you know what? Actually, it was Bill Fawcett who got me to write, too. And Will Wheaton, who's in between us, starts writing in big letters, "No Bill Fawcett." So that's kind of how it started. It's a great story. And there's a coda. There's a coda to that story, which is kind of weird. I always intended to recap the story to Will and introduce him to the actual Bill Fawcett that he'd made the note of "No Bill Fawcett," but I didn't do it quite right. So Bill, thinking that I primed Will Wheaton, comes up and says, "Hi, I'm Bill Fawcett." And Will Wheaton's going like, "Huh?" So one of these days, I'll get the two of them and I'll get it all sorted out. But it was kind of like, oh my gosh,
Will's a little strange. He's definitely, you know, I've been.
He's a character, right?
Well, I didn't even know he was doing these after shows, right? On all of these different Star Treks, like 4 different Star Treks he's doing after shows on. So one afternoon, I'm like, what? Then I seen it. I said, well, I'm gonna go. Okay, guys, I love Will Wheaton, but he is a little weird. I'm just saying. You know, I've seen him in Big Bang. I've seen him in a lot of different things, actually. Yeah. And he can act. He's just a little weird. And he needs help dressing. He dressed like a 12-year-old. Sorry. I wrote a thing.
I'm not going to throw shade at Will Wheaton.
I said, I know. Well, hey, no, you still dressing better Will is. I dropped on a blog one day. I said, Will, let your wife dress you, dude. Come on. Put your grown-up pants on and get on TV. You with some pretty big stars here, man. Come on now. And I like him. He's just a little strange. That's all. Well, Stephanie, now y'all can come in the chat room. It's open. I mean, if you're on any of the YouTube or Facebook pages, it'll pop when you text. It'll pop into the chat with us. If not, everybody else I've been getting usually on Messenger, but either way, it doesn't matter. I can see both. My screens. I got a big, huge 40-inch screen in front of me, so y'all can just message me away. Wait, where's he from? Ireland. What about Ireland? You from Ireland? Okay. Oh, okay. No.
Well, there's a long story there too.
Oh, okay, so spit it out.
Born in Montclair, New Jersey, moved to Wilmington, Delaware, then moved up to Long Island, and then in 1970, my mom and my sister and I moved to Ireland, and I did high school over there. or as they call it,
interesting.
secondary school. Well, you know, when you're 14 years old, the world ends when you do massive moves like that.
Oh,
You know, it's
yeah, I
like,
know.
oh my God,
I know.
this is it. You know, they don't have electricity over there. I'm sure of it because I was so well educated as a 14-year-old. And you know, after a while, I started getting there. Looking back now, I was like, wow, this is a great experience. But when you're there and you're a teenager, I mean,
Oh, I
when you're a
know.
teenager anyway, life is hard. But so, yeah, I spent time in Ireland. I actually got my first degree, a degree in mechanical engineering in Ireland, and learned a lot. That was what was really interesting there was they speak with a different accent. They also have, you know, we speak English, we can understand each other, but there's a
Barely.
difference. Well,
Sorry,
it depends. Are
barely.
you talking about somebody from Belfast? Yeah, then you got a real problem.
I've done a
Uh,
lot of interviews over there, man. Look, and it's bad because I got a pretty bad accent myself, so I'm
Yeah.
not throwing any shade. But so I'm on one night. This guy he's Scottish actually. I mean, his accent is just like gravelly deep. And
Yeah.
of course, I was had been doing radio for about 6 hours, so my voice was kind of. So it was like, what, huh, what? That's the whole interview. It was 2 hours. Huh, what, huh? And actually,
Well,
neither one of us know what the hell the other one said. But anyway,
but for science fiction, it ends up being really great because I ended up understanding what it was like to be an alien. You know, understanding
it's a good way of looking at it.
that the way you talk and communicate does not necessarily mean the same thing as the way you're understood. So it was pretty cool. So I spent, oh gosh, I was there from 1970 to 1985. And then I came out to
Nice
LA.
thing.
Yeah. And well,
So did you do some
a
college
4-year
over there?
stint in the Army. I did college in Ireland as well. I got my first degree from Trinity College Dublin in mechanical engineering, and came out to LA trying to get a job in aerospace, which didn't work out so well. Ended up getting a job. I got seduced by the dark side of the force.
I
I
bet.
got a job in software. And if you've ever written software, you know what I mean.
know what you mean.
It's
know
like,
what you mean.
oh wow,
I
it
hate
is so addicting.
I
It's
hate
so
writing. I
cool.
can't do it. I hate it. I had to
I
in the
loved
beginning.
it.
Well, because people, all right, people, I hate to date myself here, but I started before there was this thing called Windows, okay? When everything was in DOS and everything was in HTML and everything was freaking nightmare. You want to go to a website? Yeah, it was like 2 paragraphs to get there. No, I'm not kidding you, people. That was a lousy type, so it's like, I have to, 25 minutes later, I'm finally to where I'm going. I still remember that Monkey Kong game, the banana game. I still remember that for some reason. It was a DOS game. No, people, it's serious. That was not for beginners. You should kiss Bill Gates' butts for introducing y'all to 3.0. No, 3.0 is the first one y'all really got to use. Us other people got some other beta versions that were out there we could play with, but
Whoa, yeah,
and
Windows
then,
286.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was a couple of things. What do you mean? What are you talking about? What is my favorite version of Windows?
Is there? Well, we also have Steve Jobs to thank. There's a lot of people who swear by Mac and the Macintosh interface.
Actually, I love a good Mac. The problem is they're just too proprietary. They cost too much to run.
I've built 6 computers, 7, something like that, and I can run Linux on it, or I can run Windows. So I'm generally running Windows on my machines.
Well, what was the version of Linux? I had the Windows version of Linux. What do they call it?
Well, there's several
Windows or something. There was a name though.
Wow, there was one called.
Okay.
The latest one was called Ubuntu, I think.
Oh, well, no, I don't think I was running that, but
okay.
It's because in the old days I used to, because you could do more with them, and then I found out with Windows XP that if you got the corporate version, they left them unlocked, so you could actually go in and edit the version. So even though I'm on Windows, well, this one's 11, the other one's 10, and then there's 2 with 8.1. Matter of fact, every computer in the studio I built, they all are unlocked, so I can actually go in and edit the software itself. Yeah, you can actually do that, people, but you got to get the corporate version. Now, you ain't getting the pro version. Now I can let you do it on the pro version. Because obviously, if you're using the pro version, you don't know how to edit the software, so they don't want you messing with it. No, it's not easy. You think I'm playing around. It's not. It's a pain in the ass. You just screw up one registry and poof, you'll be some nightmare from hell, buddy.
Reinstalling.
Yes, that's what you'll be doing, reinstalling. You'll be taking it off. And these days, they don't even like to give you a disk anymore, so.
Yeah.
So you see, like yeah, I know I got every disc there is. Yes, I did. Do I could use it? I could even go back and install a second edition on your computer.
Wow.
I don't know what you'd do with it. It'd be like Turtles. Well, it's on NT4 anyway, so you couldn't use it on
Yeah.
most computers now. So, oh, Jessica goes, well, you didn't find a wife while you were over there and with that sexy American accent in Ireland?
No, I did not. And American
man.
accents are
This audience goes nuts.
sexy depending upon who you're talking
to. I agree with that.
You know, I joined the army while I was from Ireland. I joined the U.S. Army, spent 4 years in Germany, and the first 3 weeks I was in boot camp, everybody was saying, say something, you've got that cute accent. I dropped that accent 3 weeks, flat. Then I was doing the Fort Knox drawl, I was up in the mud, up to my hubcaps, that sort of stuff.
By the time I got to tech school, you couldn't even tell where I came from. People are like, it's like, what's your accent? I said, don't ask me. It's screwed now. it's a little Bostonian there, a little Californian there, a little UK in there, and it's messed up. And now it's back to itself. Okay.
If I go back to Ireland and I stay there for about 3 weeks, I start slipping into the world's worst fake Irish accent ever. And then when I stay there for like 6 months, it starts slipping again and sounding American. And then about a year later, it sounds Irish, and people kick me off the bus for being an idiot or something. But yeah, accents are weird.
It's a strange thing. Well, it's a weird move. I mean, from America to there and then back. I mean, in a lot of ways we're the same, but in a lot of ways we're way different. Europeans are different than Americans are. In a good way. It's not a bad thing. It's just we have different ways of looking at the world. Different words mean different things. When I'm talking to my friends from England, I'm like, what do you mean? Speak English. I am. I said, no, you speak whatever that Queen's English shit is. Now I changed. I said, speak American. They're like, what? I'm not speaking that. I said, speak American, so I know what the hell you're saying. Because people like pipe means water. It's just different words mean different things over there than they do over here.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like the Boston? Let's go party in a car around the con. Let me give me a hit off your butt. Let me go. No, come on. They do have a distinctive accent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean, great writers out of Boston? I have no. You're asking the wrong. You can ask Todd that. I have no clue.
There are a lot of them. Actually, one of my favorites. I'm happy to plug. If you like young adult books and you haven't run across Carlos Hernandez's Saul and Gabi Break the Universe, you owe it to yourself to check it out. He's got a second one out called Saul and Gabi Fix the Universe, and I think they should be made into either a TV series or movies. They're just freaking awesome.
I'll check them out, guys.
Yeah. So, and he's based in Boston, I know, because he goes to a BosCon. My mom grew up, she was born in Brookline, Massachusetts, and she grew up in the outskirts of Brooklyn and went to Radcliffe. So she knew a fair bit, but she'd lost her Boston accent long before I was born. We moved to Germany for 6 months when I was 6 years old. Dad got a corporate posting over there. So we went over there and I learned what my mom used to call gekauft Deutsch, which means bought German or shopping German. And it was really cool. I was in an actual German school with German kids. And I was lucky that my teacher had spent World War II in England. And so she spoke English, but the rest of the kids, we had to figure out how to talk.
Yeah, my wife was over there 2 or 3 issues of Military Brat. She was over there.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was two or three issues over there. She spoke fluid German when she got back.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, you don't use it. Yeah, if you use it, start using it again. It will. Because I'll mess with her when they're speaking German. She's like, "What are they saying? What are they saying?" She said, "Just read it."
Wow.
I'm like, and I hate. Actually, a lot of my friends like to run it. Let the text run underneath the closed caption run underneath the screen. It makes me crazy. Like, turn that off, people. If I wanted to read, I'd go get a book.
Yeah, but for some people, I got a number of friends for whom those closed captions are just like they're the only way they can get through stuff. It's weird. They got auditory processing issues, so they can hear stuff, but it's coming too fast for them to process it. So the closed captions save their butts.
Well, they're there for and because I know my I think it's my daughter-in-law likes to use it. She's got it on all the time. I said, "I will kill you." I said, "Turn it off," because it distracts me. I want to look down at the stupid stroll going by instead of watching the movie or the TV.
Yeah.
And oh, okay, hold on, Mike, calm down. God, y'all get texting like crazy fools sometimes. Mike's actually from Houston, Texas.
Oh,
He's
wow.
writing in. He said he wanted to know who your favorite author is today, other than yourself. I think you knew that before.
That was the easy one. Well, I mentioned Carlos Hernandez. I like his stuff. I read all over the place. I've been recently reading up a lot of history about World War I and the origins, more importantly, of World War I. I mean, World War I was just a freaking nightmare. And it was a nightmare caused by a bunch of babies who were bickering and trying to be so cool with each other, you know, kings and tyrants and stuff. It's just, wow. But so all over the place. If you want to read historical, I've been very impressed with William Manchester's writing. If you're talking science fiction, you know, where do you start? I mean, if you have never read science fiction, then you might want to jump into Robert Heinlein from way back when. Isaac Asimov, also from way back when. One of the books I consider seminal, meaning that it covers kind of everything that makes science fiction what it is today, is an old book by James Blish called Cities in Flight. And it's actually 4 books in one. But it's amazing, you know, sort of everything you see in today in Star Trek or Orville or any of that stuff is going to be influenced by this guy. You know, Dune is another great book. As a 14-year-old boy, God, I went through Dune. I went through it again and again and again. I will, you know, of course, mention Anne McCaffrey because she wrote some pretty good books.
Which she did.
His
mom was pretty famous, guys. If you don't know, I mean, it depends what age you are, but if you don't know, just type her on the internet; it'll come right up. Yeah. Just type it in, you'll find out. Yes.
First book is Dragon Flight, all one word, and the fun thing about that is my mom. She was writing in the 60s and the 50s and beyond. And at that time, the perceived wisdom was that women can't write science fiction.
That was a bad perception.
Well, Mom kind of proved them wrong. So she wrote science fiction. She never wrote anything else. But people will pick up Pern and they'll read it, or a Dragonflight, and they'll go, well, this is fantasy. And it's like, wait until you get to Dragonstone. It seems like fantasy. It's set on a world whose technology has devolved. And, you know, people love it. People hate it.
That's how it always is in sci-fi, though.
Yeah, well, I think it's always in everything.
It is. It's not just sci-fi.
You know, and that's fair enough. Some things work for people and some things don't. If you haven't run across Roger Zelazny, another old writer, and Lord of Light, you might like to pick that one up. What have I been reading recently? I'm all over the place recently. I just read. Nope, it's gone.
I've
been rereading Rick Riordan with the Lightning Thief series and all. Those are really fun young adult books. You know, now we have Dr. Nnedi Okorafor has been writing some amazing stuff, including Binti. The science fiction exploded in the 70s, 80s. So it's all over the place now. It used to be science fiction was, you know, guys with space blasters and that was it. It's all over the place. It's, you know, we're getting over to, you know, cozy science fiction murder mysteries. So, you know, the nice thing about science fiction is it's officially, the idea is it takes the world as we know it and adds one impossible thing, like, you know, faster than light travel. So technically, Star Wars is not science fiction, it's fantasy. Don't tell George Lucas or, you know, ask him to give up any of
Disney
his
might want his money back, man. Give me my money back. Wait, you sold this aside. Give me my money back.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, if it's a good story, it's a good story. One of the coolest things that's happened is that fantasy got big. And nowadays, science fiction writers all over the place are saying, well, really, science fiction is a subset of fantasy. I mean, one of the cool things about science fiction is over time, it either becomes fantasy or it becomes what we're carrying in our pockets. It becomes our world, which is one of the things I do love about science fiction is kind of looking and saying, okay, so what if aliens came? What if, artificial intelligence came into existence? And I disagree with Elon Musk on that. It's not clear to me at all that artificial intelligence will even interact with humans. It as any more than we spend a lot of time chasing down ants. Why
on our
there
planet?
might
It just
be
depends when it evolves, or when
on
it
how
actually happens.
and how
And
yeah
how it happens.
yeah
There's a lot of ifs when it comes to that, and
yeah
hopefully somebody figures out how to keep it from killing us, because sooner or later it's going to think, I don't really need these damn humans cluttering up my planet.
Again, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't go out of my way trying to kill ants. If they crawl in my house, it's a different story.
Yeah, and they bite me. Yeah, I stomp them like they're
totally.
Actually,
but,
okay, I can't say that. I have acreage, so I go out with this stuff, and I have no ant mounds on my properties anyway. Yes,
right.
I actively hunt and biatches down.
You're
and kill
right,
them.
but again, it's kind of like it may well end up that we're just that artificial intelligence doesn't even think like us.
Well, I'm sure it's not going to, but if I'm the great intelligence and I'm stationed in London or Moscow, I don't want that big stupid Ferris wheel obstructing my view. So it's got to go. It's I'm gonna have to do some rearranging. It's see, I don't write no sci-fi. It's evil, dark sci-fi.
Okay, so if you want to go and for an example of a good artificial intelligence, shameless plug, read my book L.A. ELLAY. And that'll give you an alternative view to the, oh my gosh, aliens are going to, or sorry, artificial intelligences are going to eat us all.
It's a 50-50 shot, man. I don't, people ask me all the time, what do you think? I said, personally, I'm not really worried about it. I figure AI is quite a distant future. No, people, the kind of AI they're talking about right now and the kind of AI you see in the sci-fi are two entirely different things. They're talking about all governing, all controlling AI on sci-fi. What we have today is not that. One, it's not going to be that interconnected for probably 50 or 100 years. It's not going to be connected to our nukes and the Russian nukes and everybody else's nukes. That's not going to happen. They're different systems. They're not even interconnected in any ways. And a lot of our stuff in the United States, too, especially for making war, is not connected to the internet. Like the actual missile silos do not have an internet connection to them. So they can't be hacked and shot into space. You have to go there and physically hack them. So
and again, it'd be sorry.
I
was going to say again, it'd be kind of like why.
I know.
You remember you might have seen the old movie from years back, War Games, which examined this, and at the end, the artificial intelligence said, "This is a stupid game. Nobody can win."
And not just that, people forget electronics are electronics, and EMP pulses.
Maybe
the computer's way underground and shielded somewhere intensely, but the whole top of the planet's going to be irradiated, and it's not a good place for electronics of any sorts.
Yeah,
everything would have to be heavily shielded. So it is right. It is a no-win situation for the AI, for us and everybody else. Now they could evict us and say, "Look, we found you another planet. Get the hell off of this one.
Go settle on Mars."
That's right. We'll show you how to colonize Mars and make Mars a planet. Or go to Venus. Get the bleep up. I was talking with Michio Keiko. This is about 14 years ago. And I said, Michio, if we could just figure out, if we could just drag a big pipe from Venus all the way to Mars, we could use Venus's greenhouse gas to warm Mars and give it an atmosphere and thicken it up so we could walk around without pressure suits. And he was like, that's true, huh? He said, I wonder if we could do like an electronic field or something that would, because it's true. I mean, if you could get all that greenhouse gas there, it would super heat the atmosphere, but it's more than that. It would melt the ice caps. But for the initial colonists, we don't need to breathe. We can use apparatus to breathe, but we need pressure so we don't have to wear them damn suits all the time when we're working. So if you can bring up the pressure like 5 millibars or 10 millibars on Mars, you don't have to wear suits. All you'll have to wear is a breathing apparatus. You can just wear regular clothes. It'll be a different kind of thing. Plus, once you get that super high greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, it'll block out the radiation coming in the planet. And it's further away from the sun, so there's not as much. It's a different kind anyway, but It's an easy way of doing it. One guy actually went to NASA. NASA's actually thinking about this. They want to build these machines on Mars. All they do is ride around and eat dirt and burn dirt and create carbon to thicken the atmosphere. So that way, if you build an atmosphere underneath it, it keeps it on the planet. Because Mars got another problem, people. It don't have much gravity.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem is it doesn't have an electromagnetic field around it. It doesn't have the Van Allen belts. Without the Van Allen belts, all of the hydrogen in our atmosphere would just float off to space, and then all the other heavier elements would float off, and we'd be Mars. You know, that was one of the first ones. The other one, honestly, I would not go to Mars. I'd be quite happy to see us set up colonies on the moon, because that's a great place to be wrong in. And then after that, the place I'd say to go to is the asteroid belts, because there's so much riches out there. You look at 16 Psyche, which apparently is worth more than, what was it, 75,000 years worth of all of our combined work.
There's lots of, there's nickel iron asteroids that are worth $100 trillion. It's ridiculous amounts, but you have to have Mars in order to mine the asteroid belt. You have to have colonies on Mars, because you're not going to haul all that ore back here and process it here, but you could process it on Mars, and that would also help to thicken the atmosphere on Mars. So you could do a 2-for-1. Mars is a lot closer to the asteroid belt. It'd be easier. The lack of gravity on Mars would make it easier to transport things back and forth. It would also be easier when you did refine it to launch it back to Earth. A lot of people have been talking about this for a long. You know, I've been preaching this for 30 years. When I first started doing radio, I used to tell people all the time, you want to see the space grow, you want to see us get into deep space, you want to see us really get into it, privatize space. Finally, after 30 years of bitching, we privatized space. And in less than 7 years, we've got 4 different space programs launching all over the damn place. Between 3 of them, they're expected to launch more than 300 launches this year. That's 10 times more than the whole world combined, including us, including the American launches. These 4 companies are going to launch that many launches this year. It's ridiculous, and they want to go. They want to go out there. The U.S. Air Force and Navy plan was to put a platform on the moon. Then they want to put a platform that's called Zone L11. It's where it's a straight shot through the solar system, so it's the shortest way to get to anywhere in the solar system. Plus, it's the place where that weird wind starts. That pushes the solar wind comes through. It comes right through there. So they wanted to put one there. And then, of course, they want to put one on Mars, and they're talking about several in the asteroid field. Like every major asteroid will probably have some kind of refinery on it or some kind of mining going on it. They definitely plan on that. And then as we get out further and further and further, we'll do that more and more. Because when we get to Jupiter, Io and Titan are definitely going to have, Titan for sure, we're going to put a colony on. And what's Europa, the water world, we're definitely going to put one there. When we get out to Pluto, we found Pluto's alive. We'll probably put one there. We might put one in Euron. We'll put something out in the Oort cloud. And then we'll put something out between us and Proxima Centauri. That gets us halfway to Proxima then. And if you just go to Proxima, it's a 1.75 light years from the center to Proxima. So it's only 3.8 light years from here. But it's a nice, I talked about this with Mitchell Keiko and Neil deGrasse and Paul Levette about the stepping stone theory from here to outside of our solar system. And you can do it. You can build it with current technologies, and you can be to Proxima Centauri in 8 years using the technologies we have today and never have to be on a ship all the time. So you'd launch, you'd stop off on Mars for a while, you'd launch, you'd stop off on Io for a while, you'd launch, you'd stop off on Charon for a while, you'd launch, you'd stop at the one halfway to Proxima, and you'd probably take a couple of months rest, and then the next leg of the trip, which would be about 2.5 years, to Proxima. It's very doable. It's very scarable too. And you ain't sending me out there right now.
Did you ever run across Gerard K. O'Neill's space settlements back in the 70s? He was talking about building really huge rotating space stations that could have 100,000 people on them.
Oh, we're gonna build hotels. What we're gonna build, but we're gonna build.
Yeah. Well, I kind of think that we should be looking at building ourselves kind of the rotating space station Conestoga wagon that we can pull anywhere and we can live in it. And so we could pull our little space station out to the asteroid belt and do whatever we want, and that'd be where we live, just like we go camping.
And they're going to build. See, we already know Mars has to build one, because you can't breed on Mars unless you have a 1G environment somewhere where that baby can grow up in a 1G environment. Because if not, it's going to be deformed. So NASA's already talked about it.
Wait a minute. Where do you get that data from?
They already proved it. You can't. Every time they bring anything into space, and they
No,
let
no,
it.
they're leaving it microgravity.
Yeah,
Joe, they're leaving it
no, there's like
microgravity.
all it's going to be is, and people talk about this all the time, because Mars is 1/6 or
No,
1/3 Earth.
Mark, one
It's
third.
It's one
We
third
don't
Earth.
know. We don't know. We know that microgravity is something we can't live in for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. We don't know if we can live in lunar gravity or if we can live in Mars gravity.
Lunar
There's-
gravity
there's-
probably is going to be tough because it's only 1/6. But
I don't know. We don't know yet. We haven't tried it. We haven't really explored it. We've never had anybody up on the moon for as long as we've had people up in the ISS.
that's true. And
Yeah.
but we have launched projects that have stayed near our gravity just with one half, and they've deformed. So not they'll have like weird legs. One of the monkeys they did, it wasn't even a monkey. What was it? A little tiny thing. Its arms it had arms and legs, but they were just longer.
This is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of.
Oh yeah,
this
there's been
study.
several, and
Because I don't know- I
China
don't
did
know-
a couple, Russia did
I
a
don't know
couple.
how you
and
can
the
get a
US did.
half of gravity unless you're. I don't
It's
know.
some kind of drag coalition. They were talking about how they did it, and
I'd love to see. Did you see this?
you
It's
know what?
interesting.
It's where was the last time I even heard about it? I was watching I was watching the NASA channel
Uh-huh.
probably 8 or 10 months ago, and they were talking about it. They were talking about because first they were talking about the egg experiment. If y'all know what the egg experiment is, they tried hatching chickens in space. It was a disaster. No legs.
Oh dear.
The wings
they-
that were
they-
rounded on the head. It was a disaster for the chicken. But
They did
they were
manage to
doing-
grow crops in lunar soil
Yeah.
just recently.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. This is a lot. It's kind of a shame that we gave up on the Apollo program so darn early.
It's a shame that they were paid for and we gave them. There's always been something suspicious about that. We had these what was it? 18, 19, and 20 were bought and paid for, and we scrapped them.
We turned them into Skylab.
Yeah, we were just. I'm like,
I think that was political. I'm afraid.
I agree. I think it was political.
One-
I think
One president didn't want to have to, follow on in the footsteps of another, so he had NASA invent something cute, which was Skylab rather,
Skylab, yeah,
and it
Skylab.
was a waste of time.
Skylab was a waste of time. I hate to,
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but well, Christopher, in a way, the space shuttle was a waste of time. It's a stepping stone, is what the space shuttle is.
Well,
It was a
space
great
shuttle
project. It gave hope to America to get us back into space. Anything that gives us hope is never a waste of time. Anything that gives hope is never a waste of time. And I liked a lot of yeah.
I was going to say that is something you ought to put up in big quotes. Anything that gives us hope is worth it, because we need a lot of hope nowadays.
Especially nowadays. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It wasn't as
So-
bad when I was young, but it seems to be worse now.
But is that really because it's so, or is it because you and I were older and we can look at stuff more and go, oh, wait a minute, could it just be we were too dumb when we were younger to realize how
It's
bad
probably
things were?
true too, because my
I
dad
don't
used to bitch all the time. This world is so blank.
Yeah.
But I moved
Yeah,
around a lot. We owned a real estate company. We owned a real estate company and 5 restaurants. And what he would do is we'd buy up some land, build 10 houses, sell them all. And when the last one was selling, he'd already started building some more, and then we would just move. Man, one year I
Wow.
changed schools 3 times in 1 year.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, Dad, I'm going to kill you. Stop it. And then I went to, I forgot, I lost count, was between kindergarten and when I got out of high school, 24 different schools.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was like, and we were moving all over the place. And sometimes because sometimes a house wouldn't be ready, so we'd move into an apartment for like 6 months or rent a house for 6 months. And then when the house was ready, it was in a different school zone.
Uh,
And I was like, really? Oh man, it made me I tell you what. And then finally my dad said, okay, I'm just going to, they had me in Catholic school twice, but I got myself thrown out because no, it's not that I'm an anti-God people, G's and Pete's. And no, I just was anti-nuns. Okay. Them nuns are vicious, man. God don't know.
oh
Them
yeah.
nuns are vicious.
Did you ever do the whole thing with the ruler in your
Oh
palm?
yeah, I got smacked many a times, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So then my dad said, okay, I'm gonna put you in private. Private school is great.
Yeah.
I learned way more. The teachers were way better. I got an education. What I learned in 5 years there, I could have went to public school for my entire life and not learned any of that.
Yeah.
Well, one is we had to go to opera. We had they would not just they'd bring us to the opera and they would bring us to the ballet and they'd bring us to rock concerts. They
Wow.
wanted us to have a really good background. We had to do a book a week the entire time I was in private school. Oh yes, yes. So in the beginning, I really sucked bad. I remember when I did the Red Fern Grows. Teachers, I can't even read this. So, but over the years, I got better and better. But it was one classic a week is what we were required to read, and it would be anything, whatever the teacher, Mrs. Falk, picked. She was a great English teacher, and whatever she picked is what we read, and then we did. We had it all week, and then we turned and report the following Monday, and it was a great way to learn about books, a great way to get people interested in reading. And she always managed to pick interesting books because these were junior high to high school students, and you got to keep our attention. And some books are just not going to do that. It's not like watching TV or a movie where. Matter of fact, I was just bitching about J.J. Abrams yesterday. I was like, J.J., try some content in your movies now, dude. Stop blowing shit up and put some content in the damn things.
Oh, you mean special effects, the end?
I mean, where's the movie, man? I'm like, stop it. I'm like, just. I liked him in the beginning. Now, not so much, because now to me, all of his movies are the same movie. Just let's blow some shit up, and the guy wins in the end, or the girl wins in the end. But anyway, it's basically the same movie.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Does Todd like Star Trek? I heard he mentioned Orville. Does he like? I like Orville. You like Orville?
I like Orville.
I shouldn't have mentioned.
I grew up with Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek was kind of the thing that allowed all us geeks to come out of the corner at some level. And then, of course, Star Wars really blew the gates open. And it's like, oh, wow, you can be a nerd.
That's a weird thing, by the way. So a couple of weeks ago, we had somebody call in and ask who made more money, Star Wars or Star Trek. Well, this was weird. So Star Wars makes more money with the movies, but Star Trek makes more money with the series. I was confused completely.
Wow.
I was like, how can that be? I said, y'all have divided them up like that. I guess so Star Trek could have some fame on making. I mean, they got 14 movies. I mean, but Star Wars, last couple movies were big, people. I mean, you mean a new Star Wars? Who's going to be Captain Pike? I could go for in a movie.
Yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
He is. He's good.
They did a great job with him. That's
I
really
love.
Cool.
So this executive's on TV talking about how Pike came around to be. He said, we brought him in. He was talking about the actor. We brought him in to play on Discovery, blah, 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 blah. And then we realized we may have a hit series on our hands with this guy. So we offered him a contract. He said, my boss was like, dude, he's good. We need to sign him to a contract. And then Strange New World starts. Strange. It's been a good series so far. Okay. Let me explain before anybody goes watching and starts hating. It's going to be based like the original Star Trek was. Every week is going to be a different scenario. It's not going to be like Picard. It's not going to be like Discovery where you have these endless things going on. Okay, it's not how it is. It's going to be a different show every week, just like the original series. I like it like that.
It's exploring the characters really nicely.
It is.
And it builds off of the story that ended in season 3, was it, of Discovery, or season 2? I can't remember now.
I think it was season 3 when they went to the future. Yeah, because Spock came back. Yeah, I think it was season 3.
Yeah, and it did a really cool thing with a backstory of Spock we didn't know about. Yeah. So they're doing some fun stuff. Now,
don't start, Jimmy. Discovery is not Star Trek. No, you're not going to.
No, I don't agree with that.
I don't consider it real Star Trek. I consider it sci-fi. Too many things they got away from canon on. It's like what it is. It's like Star Trek, like the New Dimension Star Trek, where it's in an alternate reality. Because man, just what they did with the Klingon War was enough to say, okay, you're not even worth watching anymore. I mean, it was interesting because we have the Klingon War in canon already. They changed it completely, and then there's the thing with the mushroom drive. Now,
the mushroom drive was kind of fun, but to be fair, you already had that with the endless number of Star Trek movie reboots.
Well, I'm gonna get the movies are just oh my god,
that was kind of like, and the whole thing with Kirk getting command of the ship because because Spock got ticked off.
I know.
You don't give a fresh ensign the command of a freaking starship.
Not one, not a flagship, especially.
No, it was kind of like
but that was a big. The only reason I think that even got accepted is because it's alternate. It's a multiverse thing.
Yeah, well,
it's in a different universe. I was not a big fan of it. I wasn't a big fan of going to Vulcan either. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of like, wait, why did we blow a Vulcan? What the hell's going on here? What the hell did we blow a Vulcan for? That kind of bothered me. Jimmy,
Well,
you didn't like two Spocks? I thought the guy playing Spock did a good job. I'm not going to lie, but
you mean Ethan Peck, the
yeah,
new
yeah,
guy?
yeah.
He's
He's good.
Gregory Peck's grandkid.
I didn't know that. It's no,
Yeah,
he did a good job. I'm not
I
no
think so.
people. All right, look, I'm not hating on the new Star Trek. It's fun to watch, but when you hear me talk about Star Trek, like Discovery and those shows, to me, yes, they have the name Star Trek and they try to do Star Trek. But one, no Star Trek series would anybody be allowed to curse on board the ship. They would be thrown off the ship. Star Trek, and it wouldn't even matter what military you're in, you're not going to be allowed to do that. You will be tossed off the craft immediately. Even in today's Navy, if you on deck or on flight or doing anything and you used any curse word, your ass would be off the deck. They don't allow that. It's a strict code, man. And that's always been with Star Trek. It's always been like that. Matter of fact, the two biggest complaints with Picard is that he cursed in the new series. Yeah, look, I don't personally have a problem with people cursing. It's just first when it was the little fat girl, I liked her. I thought she was sweet. I thought she was gonna be a good. I hated to see her leave, but she had a foul mouth, and no captain on any ship is gonna let you talk like that down the bridge. They will crucify your ass for that. It's not. There was just a lot of stuff. So I've always categorized Discovery as good sci-fi because I don't want people not to watch it. A friend of mine goes, "Well, if you keep talking like that, they're gonna watch it." I said, "No, I want them to watch it." I said, I just don't want you to take it as canon Star Trek. Take it as Star Trek, like a multiverse Star Trek. Besides, and here's another big screw up. We already knows what happened in the 29th century because one, what's his name, the Doctor, that's where his mobile emitter comes from, and that's where from Enterprise, what's his name came from, the guy from the future came from there like 3 different times. So they completely screwed up there. Discovery went to the 29th century, which was nothing like where the time travelers came from. Huh. So that was a big F up on their part. And the bad part is they didn't even catch it for weeks later. So things like this, I mean, if you're gonna do it and say you're part of Star Trek, then there's certain things you're gonna have to stick to if you want. That's why they have such bad ratings, and they can't. What's going to save the series is fortunately for them is Strange New Worlds. They've already got more ratings than Picard and Discovery put together.
Well, you got to go back. If you go back and you look at it, Star Trek only got on the air because Lucille Ball decided to back it.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, you got to know that. Desilu Productions, people.
Yeah, and Paramount hated it for the longest time. And now Paramount says, Star Trek is the jewel in our crown. It's kind of like you guys wanted to kill it so often. They killed it in the 3rd season.
They did. And it had a following. That's what was so funny. You know, it's always funny to me when you series that obviously has a following, bite the big one. I know why Netflix does it, because Netflix has got a rule. If you stop clicking up, and they mean, new members, then you get cut. Like, what was it, Altered Carbon? I think they had close to 4 million people write in to get them back on, and Netflix said no. Altered Carbon was a sci-fi that is set in the future, and it's a good sci-fi other than the fact that everybody stays naked the entire damn movie or the series. No, I'm funny. It's funny, but I got a rule generally. It don't matter what TV it is. If I turn on TV and the first thing I see the first 5 minutes is TNA, I turn it off and go watch something else. Because usually it turns out to be a garbage movie. In this case, you had the guy who's supposed to be playing what's his name, Captain America. He played the second year. I forgot the other guy. He's pretty famous. Both of the actors were really famous. Both of them did a great job. It's just there's just a lot of nudity in it. A lot of drugs, a lot of nudity, a lot of sex, and it's not for your kids to watch. It's great for adults, but but all that besides, the reason I liked it is because they invented these little things that they call them stacks that they put in the back of your neck that housed all your memories. So if you got killed, all they have to do is take that out and put it into a new body, and there you went. Sorry, guys. I think the burglar alarm just went off, and it's you know what that is, right? They went up front and seen themselves in the mirror.
Oh wow,
that's a chihuahua for you, man. But no, Don, that's what I'm saying. If you haven't seen Discovery, you should watch it. It's fun to watch. It's got a lot of fun stuff in it. They got a lot of you and your woke Star Trek. Okay, you call it woke Star Trek. Okay, I don't care. Call it whatever you want. I'm just saying watch it. I'm not saying if they're right or wrong. I'm not getting into politics of it because I don't really care about the politics of sci-fi. I like sci-fi for sci-fi. Yeah. Now, you want to see politics and sci-fi? Go watch Babylon 5. That's the whole series is about us in space doing politics, and that's going to be us in space too. We're going to be doing politics in space. Give us time. Carol says, "You wouldn't go with Elon to Mars? Shame on you! What the hell was that comment about?"
Oh,
Shame
well,
on you.
so I wouldn't
I'd
go to
go.
Mars because Mars is a losing prospect. I want a
Long time.
starship. Get me off the planet. Get me out of the solar system. Let's get out there. Mars is kind of like, going to the backyard shed and saying, "Wow, I did something cool." It's not, and it doesn't work. Um, the
You're gonna
whole
have to
issue
spend
with
so much money just to maintain,
yeah.
not even to get ahead, just to maintain is going to be. I just don't know if it can be done. Maybe in 100 years, maybe in five, maybe if we come up with a technologies that's different than what we have today. But current technologies trying to terraform Mars is a nightmare, and we'll
Well,
never make it oxygen rich. All the best we can do is raise the millibars on the planet so we can use it without suits. We'll never. It would take 1,000 years, or 5,000 years, and how you gonna? You still got to figure out how you're going to keep the atmosphere on the planet.
yeah. Well, but for me, I wouldn't. I'm kind of a let's learn how to live in space by living on the moon. We know we can actually mine stuff off the moon, and we can make
Helium
product
3.
there. Not only helium-3, we got aluminum, we've got oh gosh, missing the name, selenium. We got a whole bunch of products.
No, there's a
It's
bunch
already
up there. Yeah,
and water. We found that too.
yeah, we know there's water up
Um,
there.
and I mean, the other thing that'd be really cool is to put space telescopes on the far side where we don't have all the pollution from Earth hitting us, and see what else we find.
There is a project in the works to put a telescope on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
It's what? Oh no, actually, Bob, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Never mind. It's military. I forgot. So, question. No, I forgot. My bad. No, you're right. It is military. So, question: why does the military need a satellite? I mean, a
telescope on the far
telescope
side.
on the dark side of the moon? Why do they need that?
Well, now
What is it that they're looking for?
Now we're getting back to UFOs.
Yes, obviously something going on there. We know. Well, that where it's going to be connected to too. It's going to be connected to Pine Cap, which is the joint U.S. British defense of outer space. And by the way, outer space is anything beyond the moon, people. In the old days, it was anything beyond the solar system, but for some reason they changed it to anything beyond the moon. But so what are we defending us as? What is out there? It's not asteroids, because we actually have 2 different agencies that track asteroids.
Thank
So,
goodness. I'd
yeah,
be happy to see a third,
I'd be happy to see about 6 or 7 of them, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I'd take that quote, it's a mighty big sky.
Yeah.
There's a lot to track up there. But so Pine Gap, the Hart facility and Star Wars were all instituted by the same president. And he was a guy who ran around to 7 different meetings and said, and what would happen if aliens came and invaded and we would have to unite as one planet? It was Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
So-
but we'd all die if we have to unite as one planet. We've never
Probably
managed to
would.
do it yet.
So I don't know if I was fortunate. I got to see the Star Wars lasers out at Los Alamos.
Uh-huh.
And I have an outrageously high clearance, but besides that, it wouldn't have mattered. Any at the time, just about anybody could have won as long as you were ex-military or military. So they were taking these discs. They looked like discs. They were big discs, probably 50, 60 feet around. They were real big vents, and they would set it on top of this laser, and they'd superheat it and shoot it into space. So they were trying to figure out a way to develop a new, because these lasers weren't going to be used to shoot down missiles anymore. So what were we going to do with them? Because they were already built and designed. Come to find out, the beam on these lasers, because I got to see one of them actually with the top off, when it lifted off, were entirely too big to shoot down. I don't know what these things were going to be shooting at, but it wasn't going to be missiles.
Huh.
These are lasers that might have cut through the middle of cities or cut aircraft carriers in half. These are not lasers designed to shoot down missiles. One, the tracking range was too slow. The missile would have been able to invade it. A ship wouldn't be able, neither would a city, but a missile would have easily evaded this thing. And the beam was, I want to say, 2.5 foot around, 3 foot around. It was huge. It was like this.
Whoa.
So first off, I can only imagine what kind of power was being used to power this thing. It had to be some type of mini reactor or something. And a good friend of mine who works, he used to work at the Hart facilities, now back at the Pentagon, swears we have at least 5 of these in space.
Huh.
There's no way to verify that. Yeah, there's no way. Okay.
There's a really fun book, actually 2 of them, but I've got the name of the one in my head, by a Canadian writing pair, their husband and wife, named Gar and Judy Reeves Stevens. It's hyphenated, and the book is called Free Fall. It came out in like the 80s or the 90s, and it should have taken off. It should have become a national bestseller. But they wrote this really cool thing about, it starts off, it's called Free Fall, The book starts off when somebody's getting a return mission from the moon, and she's examining it on the International Space Station, and she discovers a finger bone. And that's the whole start of this big, huge, fun little, techno thriller romp. So, if you're looking for something, you'll have to order it like Amazon.com and paperback now. But a lot of fun. It's called Free Fall, and it's a really cool thriller, and it hits on a lot of what you're talking about. So
Yeah, there's a lot of. Oh no! Gene, you can't see that. Hold on, I'll show you. Hold on. Let me drag this in with us. Where's the share screen at? Let me see. Let me share that screen with us. Let's see. Is that it? Is that it? I think that's it, or is this it? That's it. Okay. There we go. Look. So
that's me.
That's Todd's sexy head up there. In case y'all don't know who that was.
And lots
if you go ahead and enlarge your screen, boom, so you can see everything that's on here. There's lots of books here. It's not all of them. I'll bring up the Amazon in a minute, or not.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't on Amazon, somewhere else, but this is just. Well, if it let me scroll, because I'm on the wrong place. That's why I'm not going to scroll. I'm on the screen. That's what it does. I'm trying to scroll it off the screen we're watching it from. Hold on. Let me go find the right screen. Let's just change this for a second. And where's it at? There's it at. Let's get it out of there. And now we can scroll. See, yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Oh wow!
Now,
some of these covers are very old, people.
I know. I was looking. Some of them. One book I seen was from 1968, and I seen some from the 70s. And
70s for sure. 68 would probably be one of Mom's. Even 70s probably more likely Mom's than mine. Like the Dragon Lover's Guide to Pern. And so on. Wow. This is Yahoo? Okay. I haven't been to wherever this page is. Yep. And you got a City of Angels, which became LA now. Because unfortunately, while City of the Angels is a great title, everybody has used it.
Yeah.
So I had to switch it back to LA. But wow. Yep. But the book I was talking about was not by me. It's by, as I say, a husband and wife writing pair. That's an old cover. One of the things is I've been doing a lot of my own covers now. And so I look at them and go, that cover's not pushing as well as I'd like it to be. And I put a new cover on.
You got all kind of artists you can choose from. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I got a Master of Fine Arts degree, so a lot of the covers I just make myself. But the book I was talking about was Gar and Judy Reeves Stevens and Free Fall. I guess if you go to Amazon.com and you just look for Free Fall, one word, you'll find it. It's pretty cool. Especially space stuff, the International Space Station, Fingers from the Moon. It's a fun story. Wow. Yeah, there's a picture of Mom and me way back from. Oh. Wow.
No, that's not Mom. Wait, I just had a minute. Where'd it go?
I know, she's down there. I think you just all over the place.
Let me stretch it back out. Let's see if we can find. Oh, okay, let's close this. Let's go to the bottom and we'll work our way up.
She was down further below.
Let's work it out. It might have been up there. You are.
There we go. There we are. Yeah, right there, over on the right.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking of the one of her and me at the 2000 and can't remember Nebula Awards. I want to say.
Well, this is great because she encouraged you to write when you were young, and she said, "Don't be writing, man."
Oh no! Well, I mean, I earned my first typewriter teaching myself to touch type. And she bought it for me for my birthday. So yeah, she encouraged me to give it a whirl. She also said, and that's me, Jody Lynn Nye, and the famous Shauna McGuire.
Jody looks like she's 12 there.
Well,
my God.
Yes, it's a number of years back now. And I almost still have hair there.
You sound like me with that shit.
Oh man, one of the things. I mean, here's what science fiction is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to give us back our hair. There's Mom, and that would be cool. Although I have this little theory that maybe the reason our hair gets lost, it actually doesn't get lost. It turns into micro growths. Is because our brains get so big that they would heat up too much if they actually had a full head of hair.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that because when I was young, my average body temperature was almost a full degree over normal. My doctor used to
Yeah.
always give me trouble.
Wow.
And one day he was picking on me. He said, because I used to have this big ton of hair on top of me. He says, probably all that hair. Well, now that the
Yeah.
hair's gone, guess what? It's 98.6 now. So, so
Yeah.
maybe he was right. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe as you
It's,
get older, you just need to lose more hair. Gosh, that's
where was
well,
that at? Go back.
that looks like my sister's old house in Ireland from an
Yeah.
early thing. And the green field you saw over there that on the other frame, that was definitely the backyard at Mom's house called Dragonhold Underhill. There's a picture of Mom. It's probably a
Yep,
good one.
right
There's a couple of
there.
good pictures of Mom. Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple good ones in here. They,
Yeah. That one's she's kind of cut off.
just barely cut her head off. Who the hell is this? She just randomly in there.
Who is she?
I don't know. It doesn't say either.
I can't see.
According to this, it's you. So obviously that's not right.
I don't think so. I don't recall any sex changes in my
I was like,
past.
what the
I
hell? I
gotta
hate when
say,
they do stuff like that. I have
well,
no
it's
idea who that is.
Yahoo, so it's
Yeah,
probably
it is.
pretty out of date.
I'm just hitting the people as we go through, seeing if I recognize anybody. And
This
there's
is
somebody
a-
working their kilt.
Well, this is a costume, a masquerade contest at I believe Dragon Con many years ago. I mean, one of the cool things about Mom is she built this huge and devoted following. There are people who grew up with her books. There are people who, when they had to run away from home, those were the only books they brought with them. Yeah, that was a tree in Ireland. Really interesting tree.
I know, very interesting. True.
Yeah. So I always kind of knew that when she passed, I would not be alone in remembering her. That's me in the back, Shauna McGuire, Jody Lynn Nye, Angelina Adams, Susan Martin, and I'm afraid I've lost his name. This is a number of years back, though, so I'm allowed. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, wait till I see Jody this year. I'm gonna say, girl, I seen some pictures. You look like you were 12. she gonna probably smack my ass.
Yeah.
She's always nice too, though, when I talk to her.
Yeah, she's a
Okay,
sweet.
there's somebody's child up there. Looks like she's about to lose her mind.
That child is either my niece or my own kidlet. I gotta go. Actually, that's
Amelia
Amelia.
Johnson.
Yeah, so that's my niece. Way back when. She's
She
a
looks
lot
like
older now.
she looks like she's possessed.
Yeah, she was having fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When my kids
Yeah.
start looking like that, I'm like, okay, it's time to run. They're gonna tear something up.
I either run or stop giving them all that sugar.
Yeah, that's always a good. That's always a good.
Actually,
thing.
the one you got your thumb. Can you click on that one?
Which one
Oh,
is
can
this
we make
one?
it bigger? Yeah, because
Well,
a nice
I wanna make
fan.
bigger.
Here's the thing about fans. It's so cool. What you see in there, that little globe there, that was made by a fan. It's a globe map of Pern based on the maps that Mom drew, and then I also drew. But he made this whole map and gave it to us. It was so cool.
I know it's nice when they do stuff like that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's wild, and we love it.
I don't know why
So,
wouldn't let me blow it up any bigger? That's weird.
I don't know. I cannot.
It's oh, yeah, that's y'all had a book signing, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Collectible books and more. Yes. Now, the fun thing about signing with Mom is it's a lesson of humility, and I kind of figured that out early on. So
Okay.
I'd have a line with like 3 people, and Mom would have a line with like 3,000.
Yeah, out the door.
Oh yeah.
No, I
Oh
can
yeah. It's
imagine.
kind of like okay.
Yeah, she's been writing a little bit longer than you, She got
She's
some
been
big
writing a
books
little
to her
bit
credit.
longer than me. She's much more, well known. I mean, we talk about the Dragon Riders of Pern and Dragonflight, but she also wrote a whole bunch of other stuff. She wrote the Kilishandra series. She wrote the Ship of Sang. She wrote the Tower and Hive series. She wrote one of the ones that seems to be unknown by far too many people is something called the Freedom series. Which is just a bunch of fun. My mom had this little trick. If she was really proud of something she was working on, she'd come up with an excuse to make me read it. And if she wasn't so happy about it, I wouldn't see it until it was published. And it took me years to figure that one out because, it just takes years to see the pattern. It's like, huh.
Yeah. What is this?
but there were some books she's just like, oh, that's the one I was thinking of. That's us at the Nebula Awards, and I think 2005. Can't quite be sure, but it might be later. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah,
just
don't
like,
have
wow.
a date on it.
Yeah.
Some of these got dates, some don't. It's kind of weird how they do that.
Yeah. So,
But,
yep. There's a whole bunch of photos here. Some are me, some are who's that's me in an interview, a radio interview. It was a lot of fun years back now. What do we got?
you got all kind of good books up in here. I mean, they just endlessly run on.
Oh yeah. We've got
how many books are in this series? In the
if I
Pern series,
remember
because somebody
correctly,
just
the
asked
Pern
me.
series we're up to 25.
True, yeah, okay, that's a lot of.
We have so we start with Lessa in Dragonflight, and Lessa's kind of like maybe the precursor to Harry Potter at some level. This evil guy stole. When she was a kid, this evil guy invaded her home, actually her castle, as it were, and killed all of her family, and she managed to escape. And so she was 11 at the time, and she spent the next 10 years plotting her revenge, and she succeeded in the end. So she was an amazing character, and the first part of Dragonflight is that story called Weir Search. And Mom always had really good, strong characters, which made it just so much fun to read.
Yeah,
and
it makes it more fun to read.
People loved her characters, and that began Weir Search. The first part of Dragonflight really began the whole world, and it's kind of funny, because so Mom, like everybody else, started off. There were no Writers of the Future there then. And at the time, there was a place in Philadelphia called Milford, and a bunch of established writers set up a writing workshop, which was conveniently called Milford, and writers and wannabe writers were allowed to come out and workshop their stories. So very much like, well, a lot of the workshops these days. And Mom had gotten one story published, and she was working on others, but she kind of felt, like, why am I doing this? And at one point, the very amazing James Blish, who I've already mentioned, met her and said, Anne, you wrote that really great story. How come you're not writing more? And on the drive back, Mom said, James Blish says I can write. James Blish says I can write. And it, it really got her going again. And later on, James Blish was married to a lady named Virginia Kidd Blish. And when Mom was looking for an agent, because you needed agents back in those days, somebody pointed her to Virginia, and they got together. And at one particular Milford, Mom brought up a bunch of stuff that she was working on, and she had a half-complete story, and she gave it to Virginia, and Virginia came back and said, "Oh, Anne, do please finish this." And that was Weir Search, the very first part of the Dragon Riders of Pern. So, we talk about writers writing alone and all, but that little bit of encouragement, that little bit, oh, do please finish it. That's the sort of thing that starts series that millions and millions of people read and love.
That's true.
That's part of the reason why we love Writers of the Future, is because Writers of the Future is this chance to say to brand new authors, keep going, please finish it. Just keep going. You're going to get there.
I love when they said, don't take advice from your family and your friends. Give it to somebody to read. That's going to be objective. Yeah. Sorry. I forgot who said it, but I was laughing my head because it's true,
Well, I actually, Anne McCaffrey, famous author.
See, it's different for you because your mom.
Oh no. Here's a great story on that one. So, I had written the story. I was very proud of it. I still have it someplace, which will probably keep it hidden. Maybe I might rewrite it. Anyway, this is years back. I was 16, maybe, and I asked Mom to read it, and she said, "No, I'm not a good critic." And I begged Mom to read it, and begged and begged and begged and did the usual teenage, whine thing. Finally, she agreed to read it. A week or two later, it came back, and when you're marking up errors and all, in those days you wrote in red ink. This thing was bleeding. There was so much red ink on it, you couldn't see the original words. It was like, oh my god, and it was just like, oh, it was, and so I got it that Mom was not exactly the sort of critic I needed to have around, but that was, like I say, when I was 16. We get better as it's like everything else. It's like babies learning to walk. The more you write, the better you get at it. So it was kind of a lot of fun. And then way back, 1996, Mom was not working on more books. She was thinking about writing her biography, and I got cornered by her editor saying, would you please consider writing like a scrapbook of her life so that we can get her writing more perm books? And I was kind of like, oh yeah, you don't have to tell me twice, especially money. They did mention money, and I like money. So that's where Dragonholder came from. And while I was working on that, obviously I went ahead and interviewed her on tape and all to ask all sorts of questions. And while we were talking about that, I said, it'd be really cool to collaborate with you one time. And that's sort of where we got to. But by then, I'd written a number of short stories, and I was doing, the nonfiction scrapbook. So it was a different age. And of course, I was a lot older then. Let's see, I would have been 40. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And when you look back, it's always when you look back, it's kind of like you're in a car wreck and you go, oh my God, I'm in a car wreck. And then, a year or two later you go, but I walked away. So hindsight changes everything. But it was so much fun being around with her. She had one story, the original, really her first breakout story was called The Ship Who Sang. And The Ship Who Sang, she wrote not long after her father had died. Her father was a colonel in the U.S. Army, and he died of tuberculosis. He was serving over in Korea with the UN. But my poor mom, she had just given birth to my first, my eldest brother, oldie brother, and she couldn't see my dad, not my dad, her dad, my grandfather, because the doctors warned her that if she went to the hospital, she might give tuberculosis to her newborn child. And she didn't want to tell her grandfather that. And so her grandfather was really upset. I mean, he was dying and she wasn't seeing him. It was a horrible thing. And so she wrote this story to recap or deal with the emotions of having to do that. And it's called The Ship Who Sang. It's the first in a series of shorts that are put together in a novel called The Ship Who Sang. But it's incredibly moving. And my mom, one point, she was asked to read it live to a camera crew for the BBC. They were doing a show on her. And she read it at the 1987 Worldcon in Brighton. But she said, look, I want you to read with me. I'll tell you when I want you to start. Thing about The Ship Who Sang is, if you read it out loud, unless you're stoned, you will cry at the end. That's just the way it is with that story. It's incredibly well-written, emotional story. And so Mom got to the point where she could no longer pronounce words and had me read this amazingly emotional ending. And I managed to get through it. And Mom later said to me, did you see how the camera crew were in the back of the room? They were crying. These old hardened BBC veterans were crying from the story. And that's kind of the story she wrote. She wrote beautiful, beautiful stories. So if you haven't read her yet, you might find
Actually,
like her.
I think I've ran. I couldn't honestly tell you what I read. I don't want to lie to you, but I do remember somewhere along the line we had to read at least 3 of her books. Because I'm a few years younger than you are, not a whole lot younger than you, by the way, but just enough years that it would have probably been. Let's say I was in private school in I guess, right close to the mid-'80s, just before I went in the Navy. Because I went in the Navy right around 80, 84, 85, somewhere around there, 83, somewhere around there. And I do remember, because I just remember her name. I don't remember the book. So when you said it, when I heard you say her name, I was like, wow, I know her name. And it can't just be from hearing the media, because I don't pay attention to that. And for me to acknowledge someone's name means I've either had to meet them or talk to them or read them, one or the other. And doing what I do for a living, it could be any one of the three. So it's a strange thing. But I recommend, because dragons are big, and more than likely they got read more than once in my house, because my wife is a huge dragon fan. And when she went by, she said, "I know who that is." That's why I had the mic off just now, because you came in the room. And she was reading your thing, and then up here it says was born to Anne McCaffrey, and she said, "Well," when she said, "I know who that is," but she's as well read as anybody I know, way more well read than I am. She outreads me probably 5-1, 6-1, and I have weird interest anyway. It's I remember in private school, I started wanting to read what the hell do you call them? Philosophers. I decided I wanted to read all the philosophers. So, and that's what I was saying earlier. I got the whole collection behind me back there.
You got Plato's Republic and Aristotle.
And I got all of them. And then I've got things like some of the plays that had been done and stuff like that, and some of Shakespeare's works back there as well. And I was raised on the classics for some reason, and I still really like them even today. It's like Doctor Who, when he went back and met Shakespeare, when he went back and met what's his name? Not Leonardo. The painter.
Van Gogh.
Yeah, Van Gogh.
One of my favorite episodes.
It is one of my favorites as well. It was well done, and at the end, the very end, he made everybody cry. It was a well done episode. Compared to Doctor Who today, I hope they got new runners coming in for this season, because
they're bringing back Russell T Davies.
Thank God, because I like this woman would have been a good doctor, but they never gave her a chance. They wrote her out of it. I was like, come on, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, no, I think Jodie Whittaker's got a lot of chops.
Well, I've seen her in some other stuff.
Great doctor, and they just didn't give her a chance.
And matter of fact, when she was doing an interview for something else she's going to be doing, and she said, well, I just never felt like I was ever allowed to be the doctor. She said, I was never allowed to get angry. She said, I didn't have the emotional range as the other doctor, which was true. Yeah. One of the biggest complaints I've heard from people, she never got angry. She never got mad, because the doctors always get mad. Somewhere along the line, the doctor's going to get pissed and, you better get your ass out of his way or his way.
Yeah. I think, it smacks to me of sexism. It does. Girls can't go ahead and get angry. It's kind of like, really?
And then they wanted to use her for a woke Doctor Who. And I keep telling this to people. This is something that for some reason Hollywood's learning and BBC's learning now, and so is football and all. And the problem with America is we don't go watch Doctor Who or watch the NFL or watch hockey because we want to hear your political views. That's not why we're there. If we want to hear your political views, we will pick up the remote and go over to NBC or CNN or CBS or ABC or Fox or whoever the hell it is that you watch, BBC, it doesn't matter. That's where you want to get. I don't want to hear football players taking a political stance. One, I don't think they're informed enough to take one. Some of them might be, but the majority of them are not. So just stay out of it. And we're going to, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people taking political stances of any kind in any of this stuff. I just don't want to see it. To me, that takes the relaxation out of why I'm there. I'm there for the fantasy. I'm there for the fun. I'm there for the science. I'm not there because I want to hear you tell me I'm wrong, right, or whatever about someone's where to go to the bathroom. I don't want to hear it. And it's one of the things, a lot of the interviews we did with a lot of the newbies in the last 3 years was, how are you going to deal with wokeness in your writing? Not so much in your illustration, because it doesn't seem to matter as much as in the illustration. Because me and Echo had a ball with her nudie. What did she call her? She had a name for it, but anyway, we had a lot of fun. So I asked him, how are you going to do with it? And a couple of them conversations got lengthy because, are you going to take it on full head? Are you going to even include it in your novels or your books or your short stories? Is it going to matter to you one way or another? And what I found is the people who were there that were in that category weren't planning on including it in their books, which I found strange because, they're in that category. I would figure you'd want, since you live in that lifestyle, you'd want to put it in a book. They were all telling me no. But a lot of the younger writers, not so much, if they were over 40, it wasn't something they were going to really consider putting in their books, unless it was just a character that developed. But the younger ones were we're talking about, oh, I should have 2 of these and 1 of these and 3 of those and 1 of those. So I said, look, I'm not a writer. I said, I'm just gonna give you a piece of advice as somebody in the media. Don't do it like that.
Yeah.
I said, you will not. I said, you might get some crazy lefty somewhere to buy it and play it on one, but it's it's not going to ever go anywhere else. I said, you got to remember. I said, when I do news radio, I do it for everybody. I said, I'm a centralist anyway. I said, I'm not a centrist. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I said, I've lived those lives. I said, when I was born into a Republican family. I said, these people are crazy. So I said, I became a Democrat. And later on, I was like, oh my God, these people are even crazier. And so I got away from it. I was going to be an independent, but independents don't have no direction. They're just independent. And libertarians are nice, but so a centralist works for me because I'm in the middle on most things anyway. And so when I do news, that's how I do it. I do it from the middle, which means I get to piss off everybody, or I get to make everybody happy.
This is good.
You know.
I think that I tell stories. That's what I do. Thing. And
we need more of you.
Thank
Lots more of you.
But I am not afraid to go look at things. I do tend to agree with Mom. When Mom was working on Dragonflight, the question of race came up, and she felt that far in the future, it's about 5,000 years in the future, that people would probably look almost all the same. They'd be fairly well blended by then. Race would not be an issue. And so that's how she wrote the whole thing with Dragonflight.
And she's right. There's been several big groups got together, big science groups that got together and said at one time, at one point, actually they call it reversion because most people don't know this. 2 million years ago, everybody on this planet was brown-eyed, brown hair, and brown-skinned.
Yep.
That's just who we were.
Yep.
Somewhere along the line, RH negative popped in and created mutations, which gave us green and blue eyes, and moving around the planet gave us different colored skins. But that's what we were. So now what they're saying is through breeding, interbreeding, eventually we will breed ourselves back to, we'll have different colors and different eye colors, but we will go back to basically, for most people, a medium to light brown skinned race. Only the places where you still live in the sun will you have dark skin anymore. That's just science, guys. It's just the way we're going to be. But it's worse than that or better, depending on how you look at this. So right now, you can do designer babies, in case y'all didn't know that. If you can find, not in this country because it's illegal in this country, but you can do, and we do have the technology in this country to do it, but we won't do it. You can do designer babies, but it's even more than that. In 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, they're going to take a sample of your blood or the child's blood. They're going to say, okay, this kid this could happen to this kid. This could happen to this kid. This kid could be this, or that, and these would be things he's predestined for, or have something in his that might make him move that direction. Would you like us to take it out? And most parents are going to say yes. So things that are a problem in today's society will not exist in the future. And I can bet your ass an advanced alien race is not fighting over what bathroom you're going to. So there's a difference in the way we look at the world right now because we simply don't have the technology to change it, but we will in less than 100 years. For me, it's not so much. For me, it's more about should we change it? Do we have the right to breed a whole section of our population out? That's really what the question is going to come to. And I'm not the one that's going to have to answer that, so I don't have to worry about it.
That's why I write science fiction.
And science fiction is a good place to work on that question.
Yeah.
You know, Babylon 5 worked on a lot of those questions. If you don't know who Babylon 5 is, you better go get your ass educated. Okay, look, Babylon 5 is one of the best sci-fi series out there. It's not the technology as far as how it looks today. It's dated. It's dated. It's 90s. It's mid 90s. It's a dated technology. The colors are very, very vivid.
Yeah, some of those episodes were among the best television I've ever seen.
Oh, no, they are, and it won a few awards. But there was a lot of wisdom in this show, and it portrayed us in a true light. And there's very few sci-fi series that do this. They took man, we wormed our way into space. We couldn't go faster than light. We found some race that gave us some gate technology, felt pity for us, and gave us some technology. Yeah. So then we go get out in space. We try to build some base. The damn thing blows up 3 or 4 times. Finally, they get one out there. And what's the first thing they do is invite everybody and start doing politics. Oh, yeah. And I'm talking politics. Just like you'd see on the planet today, they were politicking it away, man. They were just different races involved. Instead of different countries, They were different races.
Yeah.
But what do you mean? Alien race? Let me tell you something. I doubt any alien race will ask us to be friends until we become a united planet, because I doubt anybody who's a deep spacefaring race is not. I guarantee their world's united. There's no way that you can get out and colonize the universe with a divided planet. It's just not going to happen. I mean, we can get in a solar system, but getting into deep space is a different thing. It's going to take everybody.
So as a counter view to that, you
there,
can go
baby.
pick up a copy of the Jupiter game, where we're pretty much as we are right now, and the Europeans have just pulled a spaceship into orbit around Jupiter, and a bunch of aliens pop up and want to trade with us. That's my book, Todd McCaffrey.
That sounds good.
It's a Jupiter game, so it's a lot of fun. But I actually try and take on this issue of, could we be a spacefaring race and still be divided?
We could be a spacefaring race and be divided, but can we be involved in the global community? No, that's not going to work. I doubt anybody's going to let us into any kind of real community until we become, because then you'd be picking sides and choosing sides. Oh, we're going to deal with America, we're going to deal with Russia, we're going to deal with China, and we're not going to deal with everybody else. Well, that's just going to start a war back here on the planet. So
I do think as a science fiction writer, it's kind of like, throw me a problem and I'll come up with a solution. So for me, part of this was, okay, so what do the aliens get out of dealing with a divided planet? Well, they get really good deals. Not good for us. I do basically agree with you, however, that I think we need to be united as a planet in order to do pretty much anything. And we've kind of been ignoring the fact of how united we are. You look at the pandemic. It started in China. It's gone all over the world. It did not sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not allowed to cross this border."
Yeah.
You get a picture from space, and you see the little blue dot that is Earth.
Well, I mean, if you look at the world today, there's 6 or 7 holdouts. Russia didn't want to be a holdout. It was trying to become a democracy until who took over. We're not going to mention his name because we love him, but Putin. And Putin, you were the manly man. We all loved you, and then you lost your mind. What's going on, dude? Get it? I know you only got 3 years left to live, but come on, man. Don't be nuking the planet. You have daughters and stuff that live in Russia. And if you nuke us, we're going to have to nuke you back. Well, maybe not. Biden might forget where the nukes are, but still, something's going to happen.
I don't believe that. I think for all of his long catalog of flaws, he's enough of a politician that he knows how to push a button.
Yeah, well,
talking about
thank God they have to be other buttons pushed, because he makes me nervous. So does Putin. Though. Putin makes. Well, I'm scared Biden might just stretch out Putin, and there goes World War III.
No, arguably we're in World War III right now.
You could argue that case.
We're kind of like, the Ukraine is either the first small battlefield or it's the Spanish Civil War test grounds. And by the way, the Russians are losing. What they're doing with the Ukrainians, what they're doing against the Ukrainians. Could you imagine what would happen if they went up against some of our guys? They would lose.
Well,
completely.
and I think that's one of the reasons. One of the good things that came out of the Ukrainian thing, and I hate even saying it that way, is it looks like China may decide not to invade Taiwan. Because
I think the Chinese. I agree with you. I think the Chinese are waiting, and if we blow it with Ukraine, they're going to go after Taiwan.
Yeah, then they will. But I think what they learned is everybody forgets China's nothing without the world. China has to have our money. They don't have. There's not enough communist countries to support China. They have to have the rest of the world to support them. Yeah. Right now, there's only 7 countries that truly. Before we were making them rich, so was Europe. Now, thanks to COVID and some other stuff that's happened, baby formula that killed babies, dog food that killed dogs, a lot of people are kind of becoming anti-China. So that's a good thing, and we should be anti-China until they become a free nation. It's we're in competition with them directly. Yeah. And Glenn, they only have 400 nukes, but you don't need more than 400 nukes to end the world. We have 4,000 that are on warheads. We got another 4,000 sitting on shelves, waiting to be disposed of. No, I actually want to know the truth. At the height of the war, each country had around 15,000 missiles. So all those treaties did work. Trust me, they worked. And a lot of these nukes they were talking about, planet busters, didn't get built because of the treaties. I'm not always a big fan of the way our governments work, but in that case, I got to give them a little bit of credit.
Actually, I think we have to give all of ourselves some credit on this.
That's true.
I mean, the whole world, it's been 75 years since anybody dropped the nuke in anger.
And it was us.
that's and if you read your military history, my opinion from having read up on it a lot, including reading things like Hiroshima Diary, written by a doctor who survived the
Mhm.
Hiroshima blast, and documented all the horrors of it. Uh, the Japanese wouldn't have stopped. The
No, they
the
wouldn't have.
military was so wedded to the idea of continuing the fight because their honor was on the line. Uh, I mean, if you read it, John Toland's got a book on it. There's
No, yeah,
another book.
we'd had to bomb them into extinction to stop it. The nukes stopped it.
Yeah,
And it also made Russia and the rest of the world go, shit.
yeah.
America can
Although
actually
Russia
kill itself.
had already got a lot of information from their spies, so they weren't
Yeah.
too far behind us. But it's amazing how scary it can be, with nukes and all. And I think I'm afraid people are forgetting when Putin sits there and says, "Oh, we'll use nukes." I think maybe he believes that we're scared, that the United States of America doesn't have the cojones to say, yeah, you used a nuke. Guess what? We're using it. We're going to return.
Yes,
Uh,
it's not going to be a one time. And we probably won't even shoot it. We'll probably have it launched from Europe. We probably won't even shoot it from over here.
well, yeah,
Just
but
so you don't have time to shoot it down.
yeah, I think that this may be a really that Ukraine may be a huge game changer for us all, because if it works out the way we're hoping, basically what we're going to prove is that war is not a good idea. It's not economic anymore.
That's what China's finding out. I've
Yeah.
heard I've heard 2 or 3 people in China now talk about this. Some of their oligarchs are talking about, well, they were asking about invading Taiwan. They said war is never good for anybody, and we already have U.S. sanctions. We can't really afford any more sanctions on our country. And he
Yeah.
was being honest about it. And so were the other two. They were just being honest. They were like, no, war costs us money. So if we invade Taiwan, we'll have to hold Taiwan. There'll be a lot of fighting, a lot of blood, a lot of murder, and nobody in the world's going to want to do any business with us after that. He said Russia's already bankrupt, so who's going to be our buyer? Nobody.
Yeah.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
So they're right, and we will. Everybody will cut them off, and they'll find themselves just sitting there. And
Well,
then
I was going to say, the sad thing is this lesson was actually learned in World War I.
Yeah.
That's why we had the Great Depression, is because everybody had been spending money they didn't really have, and then all of a sudden all the demand dried up at the end of the war, and so there was nothing to buy, there was nothing to sell, there was nobody who wanted to buy. Bam, Great Depression. World War II was because all the victors of World War I decided that they had to punish Germany, even though it was Austria that started the war. Hopefully, one of the good things we learned out of World War II was, even though somebody starts it, you want to finish it in such a way that they don't start it again.
Yeah, knowing that you ain't going to tolerate it. It's people. What about near shore? You're talking about the 2 bombs dropped. One of them actually landed in a valley next to the city. One was a direct hit, and one was, I think it was like 10 miles away or something.
Well, if you really want to go,
it still wreaked ungodly havoc. Yes.
Yeah, but if you really want to go there, you should also be looking at the firebombing of Tokyo, which caused more
True.
casualties than those two combined.
Yeah, and
this is something where if you want to go there, this is a horrific part of mankind. This is a very dark part of our spirit. But if you want to go there, it really pays to research it, to read, a number of books, to do more than just
World War II is a great read. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn about in World War II. Like when the Chinese admiral was like, "Please don't wake to sleep in China," or I fear.
That was Admiral Yamato. Yeah.
Yeah. He knew when they bombed Pearl Harbor, it was the end of Japan. He actually knew it. But he couldn't tell the emperor that because he would have, got his head lopped off. So.
Well, it wasn't so much the emperor, to be fair. The emperor was a warmonger at the time, but the political party in power, because the emperor was, is supposed to be mostly a figurehead. And it was actually at the end of World War II that the emperor kind of stepped out from behind the curtain and said, "I, as emperor, say we need to end this war." So it's like there's a whole bunch of nuances there.
Once Jimmy Doolittle's boys started bombing them and they realized they were not safe from us anymore, that changed the way. Well, it's anytime your citizens get killed, because Americans are like that. We're egotistical because nobody's ever been here bombing us, other than running in 2 planes into the Twin Towers. No one's ever bombed us. And just think of it this way, people, and I hate to say it like this. We had two buildings blown up in New York City, and we just wiped out 2 whole entire countries over it. I mean, we basically put Iraq and Afghanistan back to the Stone Age, which is where we're going to send China if they don't tighten up. So the thing about this is just think if someone had actually landed a nuke in our country, or better yet, a few bombs. Oh, geez, I don't want to think what we would do. And you see, yeah, we're assholes. We hate each other. We fight. We want to kill each other every day. But once you start a war with us, we become one galvanized, united freaking country, and we are deadly. No country's been at war near as long as this one has. No one has near the weaponry we do or the trained soldiers that we do. People, we got 5 generations of trained soldiers and fighter pilots. And you want to go in a war against us? What are you, crazy? Even China's thinking like, no, man, what we got 1.3 billion, we're still going to lose. You just, we're hard. See what's going on in Russia right now and Ukraine. The Russian soldiers, a lot of them are having hard times. They've never killed anybody. A lot of them are going AWOL. A lot of them just don't want, and they get themselves killed. You cannot hesitate on the battlefield. One of the first things they told you in Vietnam was the average lifespan, like 9 seconds. So you can't hesitate. And most people who have never killed someone is going to hesitate and you get your ass killed. Our troops are not going to do that. They're going to walk in, blaze a gun and blazing, man. We're going to have drones, planes. We're going to have air superiority. We're not even going to play around with this. We'd have never done this the way Russia did. We'd had air superiority within like 3 weeks, and then we'd have just been bombing them into the Stone Age, and then we'd have rolled our troops in and said, you still want to fight? No, you can be like Afghanistan. Oh, here, take our weapons. We give up. Or Iraq, when, 100,000 troops came out and put their weapons on the ground? No, we're not like that. We're different. We're a different machine, and we shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately we are. I hate to even brag on that because it makes me feel like it would be really nice if we could unite ourselves in some other different directions. I agree with that. Yeah, something like who's got the best
I think
ice
for
cream?
a while we were kind of best ice cream would be cool. I think for a while, at least I felt, and that's probably me, that we were united with the idea of going to the moon. At least when we got there, everybody was pretty darn proud of it. And I think we should do big things like that again. For that matter, Elon Musk, for all that I can criticize him, SpaceX is freaking amazing. And it has totally changed the landscape. And now, fortunately, they're revising I think DARPA is revising the whole idea of a nuclear-powered rocket engine. We had them way back when, and we gave up on them. But now they're coming up with an idea that apparently will work, and that'll be much more powerful. I
want to say it was like mid-50s. Stanton Friedman, who was a nuclear physicist, he's a big ufologist, but he was a nuclear physicist by trade. Yeah. And we did a show just on nuclear aircraft because America actually designed several nuclear aircraft. People, these things were fabulous. They could stay in the sky for days on end. There was no risk of getting contaminated on board. But your airport now became a giant freaking nuclear bomb or a giant waste bomb. Either way you want to look at it, because now you had to store nuclear waste on site and nuclear fuel on site.
But there's a difference when you're up in space.
Yeah, and that's a whole different thing, because in space you can eject it. There's already a bunch of radiation out there. It's not a big deal.
For that matter, if you look at Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, the reason they're still going is because they're powered by radiothermal isotopes, RTG, radiothermal generators, which are basically, there's a small bit of radioactive material that heats and produces electricity that keeps those guys running for 50 freaking years.
Yeah,
it's a marvel.
Yeah, the other one was doing something weird the other day. Was a Voyager 1?
Because they were getting some weird data on it.
Yeah, it's outside the solar system now, guy. Oh yeah, it's outside the influence of our sun.
Yep.
Which I can't remember if it's 2 light years or 4 light years, but it's a good distance.
No, it's not light years, but it's a huge number of AUs. It's going to be like 80 or something. Yeah. AU is an astronomical unit, which is the distance.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because 2 years of our light years are halfway to Proxima. That's right. Okay, I get confused.
Yeah.
It's oh man, I had so much fun the other day. So I'm watching NBC. They're doing this news and they're talking about they always do this. People always mess this up. Oh, the closest solar system, close sun to us is Alpha Centauri, but that's not true. Alpha is 4.0. It's actually 4.0 light years. Proxima is 3.8 light years. It's actually closer. And for some reason, matter of fact, I got Michio Keiko on it. He was laughing his ass off. He looked it up while we were talking. He said, "Some bitch, you're right." I'm like, "Yes, of course I got a bachelor's in science. I'm not ignorant." It's I wasn't going to go for engineering, but I decided I got into something else. I should have never got into business, man. Running your own business is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but you see, whenever you're pissed off at the boss, you can shout at him all you want, and you only have to look in the mirror to do it.
That's true. When you do some of them things, you're like, well, why did I do that again? Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. Leah, what is it? What? Oh, you've been following Todd for a while? Well, next time I do an interview with him, you can come on and talk to him. Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
You got any favorite books? Or you like all of his books? What do you mean, is he married? What? For the last 12 guests, I've had that question come in. Is this like some kind of conspiracy?
Wow. Is he married?
I'm
divorced, by the way.
There you go. He's happily divorced, whatever that means.
Yeah, pretty much.
A friend of mine says that all the time, and I'm like, "What do you mean happily divorced?" He says, "I'm happy to be away from the crazy woman." It's like, dude, you can't say that.
The thing is that marriages are very hard work.
They are. They're a lot of work too.
And we don't train for it. You notice you get a high school diploma, and there's not one course there that said how to be married. There's not even a course on how to pay rents or pay your bills.
And stuff. Today, it's not a cool thing to be married.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, Lisa, I've been married. I've been married. Lisa, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Well, you can lie. Just tell me. 30, 37. I've been married longer than you've been alive. Yes. This year makes 40 years for me and the wife. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Don't ask me why she puts up with my ass. Hell, I don't want to put up with my ass half the time. It's no, because we have this thing we've always done. When we both agree on something, we do it. We've just been very fortunate that we've never agreed on getting divorced at the same time. It's no, don't get me wrong. There's times we were like, "I hate you, you bitch. I hate you, you bastard." And then, we've been together as long as it's different. Once you break a certain amount of time, it changes. Don't ask. I'd have to write a book on it. I'd have to get with Todd, get him to screen to do me a ghost, write me a book.
It's a process, and part of it is we're all raised to believe in the romantic kind of love. I see her, she sees me, we complete each other, and that's actually a chemical thing that lasts for about 5 seconds, and then you realize that the other person farts or has BO or whatever, and
has chihuahuas.
Oh yeah, and you either decide there's still somebody you just love to be around, or you decide, whoops, this was a mistake. And that's life.
It is. It's a strange thing. Well, my stepdad had been, my mom already married. She'd been married 5 times. My mom had only been married once when my dad died. And I guess that's where I get it from. Because I told my wife when I met her, I'm only getting married one time. You divorce me, I'm getting a harem. That's the end of that shit.
Yeah.
And so I think she just never divorced me because she don't want me to have a harem. That's all. But still,
I know.
We actually get along really well for the most part. I mean, we can drive each other crazy when we want to, but
I think the operative word there was when we want to.
Yeah.
Every now and then we kind of, when you're with people, you drive the other person crazy, and then you decide you don't want to anymore.
But she knows most of my bad habits, so.
Yeah.
And when I met her, I used to drink and smoke. I don't do either anymore. So it's what do you mean, Donna? Oh, no. What do you mean? No. You got confused. No, I quit drinking when I was real young because I had a bad temper when I drank. So when my son was born, I quit for like 10 years. And at 23. And then I started drinking again in my 30s and for about 3 or 4 years. And then I quit again for about another 10 years. Now, I only drink like at special occasions. Like when I'm at Writers of the Future, I'll have a couple of cocktails with them or something. And if we're out at the bar or something like that, or if I'm with some real close friends. Anyway, I don't have to drive. But since I'm 90% of the time I'm on the drive, I just don't drink. I'd love to sit at the casinos and drink, but I'm the one's driving. So, and I'm not paying no DUIs, and I don't want to be paying no $1,000 a month for insurance either. So,
yeah.
And it's just, you grow up. That's when I was young, I would have drove drunk all over the place. I hate to even admit that. But from age 17 to about age till I quit the first time drinking and drive, I thought it was a cool thing to do. Yeah, just lucky. That's all. Yeah. No, I say that. I say that because it's a true statement. It's at any time I could have been the one that effed up, killed somebody, killed myself, me, my family. It just trust me. Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke and drive. No, I'm not anti-pot. Get over that. I could care less if you smoke pot or not. 90% of people I know smoke pot. I'm not anti anything. I just think you should, be alert of your surroundings. That's all. Aware of your surroundings, yes. No, I don't care if you get high. Good Lord, we puff it up. Oh, because I won't let anybody smoke weed on the. No, because it's a network thing. No, because no people. I won't even let them smoke cigarettes. I get pissed off when they drinking too much because we're doing radio, actually TV radio. And in the old days, there used to be somebody puffing on TV, but that's not TV anymore. It's bad as caca to smoke now. I don't make the rules. No, actually, the main reason about the pot is I just want the host getting high while they're on the air. Because some of them get too chatty. Think about it. They're already chatty. They're radio show hosts. So when they get high, they're either going to get really quiet or really noisy, one or the other. So I just rather them be their regular self and then get high as you want after the show. Yeah. No, I don't know. Really. I'm not kidding you. Almost everybody I know smokes weed in one shape, form, or fashion. Ever since it became legal in most of the states now, almost everybody I know smokes. A lot of my baby boomer friends do. A lot of my Z-Gen friends do. I'm surprised at the Z-Gen. They're a bunch of little potheads. I thought, look, usually when parents do something, the kids' generation usually skips it and does something else. For some reason, marijuana just seems to go through all the generations equally. I'm not sure what the hell that's about.
That might be that it means that it's something that's good or something. I don't know.
Can you write when you're high? Okay, first off, I can't write at all, but I probably could even write even less if I was high.
Yeah.
Can you write when you're high? When you mean high, you mean off of anything. You're not just talking about pot, right? Yeah, I couldn't know. Oh yeah, let me do some LSD and write a novel. Okay, that's gonna happen.
There's a common joke out there about people who get high on something and they say they've got the best idea and they write it down on a piece of paper and they wake up the next morning and there's little squiggle lines on the paper.
Yeah, like, what the hell is that?
That seemed to be true. Yeah, and nobody knows
what it is. Or you read something that you're like, did I actually think that was cool? Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
It's Oh, you want to know when Todd's got a new book out? When you got a new book coming out, Todd?
Actually, I just finished the first draft of the latest one in the Canaris Rift series. I got 4 in that series out now. First one is called Raw Space. We're 600 years in the future. My poor heroine gets assigned to the laundry ship for the fleet. And it just goes downhill from there until it doesn't.
I like stuff like that. That's more up my alley.
It starts out a lot of fun and then it gets it sobers up fast. And I've been having a blast writing them. When I write nowadays, I tend to write for what I want to read. What I like, what I'm having fun with, rather than saying, "Oh, the fans will love this." If you're a writer, I gotta say that all of my experience is that if you ever write something saying the fans will love it, you're wrong. You want to be.
Yes, leave that to the media directors.
Well, no, really. I mean, you kind of want to be the person that's writing because you can't not write. That I like to say, I got people in my head, and if I don't get them out, they're going to do damage bouncing around inside there. And it's like that. I mean, the way I'm writing now is different from the way I wrote before, years before, and I may go back to some of it. But right now I'm doing what we call pantsing. It's kind of like I say, so what if you were assigned to the laundry ship in a fleet? What would happen then? What if this happens? What if somebody releases a bug that eats all the clothing on your laundry ship? How do you tell the admiral what's happened to his best suit? And stuff like that. And so I go on, I go like, let's see what happens now. Let's see what happens now. And it's a lot of fun. Now, when I do this, I'm looking at my characters. So when I originally thought of this idea, I thought, okay, so I'm going to have a spaceship full of naked people. I can play this for laughs, or I can play it seriously, If all of a sudden in the Navy we had an aircraft carrier where all the clothes got eaten away by some bug, what would they do? Well, they're in the Navy, they got to do their job, and they'd figure out a way around it.
That's right. Wrap some Bisqueen around your ass and get back to work.
Whatever, actually they didn't, it was kind of like in this case, it turns out that there's a people. Oh yeah. But it's, it was a lot of fun and it goes on and it gets weirder and more interesting. It turns out that there's an alien universe out there, and they don't like competition. So I just finished book 5. It should run for 6 books. The twins and I am lucky enough that I've been co-authoring with Brittany and Brianna Winter, who are the
twins
Winter
are
twins.
interesting. I got to say, I enjoyed talking to both of them. They're very bright young ladies.
They are super smart. And we started off, we wrote a quick series of quick read books, 20 books that are really short, called the Twin Soul series. It's a world of fantasy, magic, steampunk, meddlesome gods. I like to say that think Thor and Loki, but our guys are cooler. And so we've had a lot of fun with that. We tend to write all over the place, where it takes your fancy. But if you're looking for brand new Todd and you haven't seen LA, or you haven't read The Jupiter Game, or you haven't read The Steamwalker, then you may want to look at Raw Space, which is the first in the Canaris Rift series. So, and if you're thinking, as I hope you will when you read it, say, oh, I can write better than that, then you want to submit to Writers of the Future. And you actually get your chance to not only prove it, but to get paid for it, which is cool. So that's sort of one of the reasons we're here, is because we met at the Writers of the Future. And, they just have volume 38 out now. We were at the awards ceremony. It's going to be in paperback on the 28th of June. It was officially released, so you can get it as an ebook on the 12th of April. And it's a lot of fun. It includes great stories, great art, as Joe was saying. And it's a really, it's a chance to read what's brand new from brand new people, and a chance to say, maybe I should enter. It's free. You do it online. It's one of the best deals in the world.
I was telling this to somebody the other day because I'm getting ready to, I was talking to a principal at a high school about this, and we were talking. I said, I'm going to drop these books off. And he's like, I was telling him about, because first thing he asked me was about L. Ron Hubbard. I said, what about him? He said, well, I said, there's nothing wrong with the guy. I said, this had nothing to do with him. I said, other than his money sponsors this. I said, this is a great chance for anybody. I said, it's very credible. I said, it holds a lot of credentials when people can go somewhere and say, hey, I won best book or best author or the golden pen at Writers of the Future. I said, it makes a difference when you go in places like that. People know it. It's 38 years of anthology. I said, that's hard to beat. I said, there's a lot of great writers coming out of here. I said, plus some of the best writers in the freaking country are teaching these people. Yep. I said, they get a crash course in 5 days. I said, do you know how much I was talking? I think it was Tim or Dean when I was talking. I said, you know how much it would cost these kids to get this much of y'all's time? Just on their own. I'm like, I said, guys, I said, you don't understand. And I said, it's not just they're teaching them how to be better artists or better illustrators or better writers. They're learning the business end. They're learning how to deal with people. They're learning about the media. I said, they are actually learning how to go in the world and become great authors. They're giving them the equipment. Plus, this person now. You can say, hey, I got this question. Hey, Todd, I'm in this bind with this. Can you help me out with this? I said, look, they now have contacts they've never had before. You can't beat it, people. If you can submit 4 times a year. There's 12 winners of both the illustrators and the authors, a couple honorable mentions, and you can be there. You get to meet Todd in person. Todd's y'all can't be hanging out with him like we do because y'all get in trouble, but still. so you youngsters, and that's another thing. I got to make myself quit doing this. Okay, Let me correct myself. I always say these youngsters when I'm talking about winners, but that's not true. We had from 16 to 71 year, from 17 to 68 the other year. I mean, all these years, for the 3 years I was there, the range was crazy in age differences. 16, 17-year-olds and 68-year-olds. I mean, and they're all winners. So right off the bat, you're never too old to submit. You're never too old to write. You're never too old to do art and still win. And you're starting a career. Yeah, this guy's tired. He's been retired for like 5 years. He writes a book. He's a winner now. Now he's got a whole new career.
Yeah.
And he knows all these authors. And one of my favorite things is that Todd and him like to do these poor authors is give them 24 hours to come up with a story.
Well, yeah, and they do it. They're surprised.
They do it too. All of them do it. That's I don't know how good they are, but they all do. I was watching Tim and Jody this year going through it, and I was cracking up. And I think it was one of the Aussies asked me, "What's so funny?" I said, "Watching all y'all stress." Because Tim asked me, and I got to share these with Tim when he comes on in a week or two. He asked me to go around and get pictures of all of them while they were working on their stories without letting them see me do it. I got a bunch of good pictures coupled on with their laptops like stuffed in their face. It's dark in there. That's great. Oh, people, look, they put them in rooms together. Don't think they stress these youngins out or these people out. It's a lot of work. It's not just all play. But you're going to get to learn from the best, and that's really what this is about. And it's not, even if you don't get to meet all the judges. I mean, you will that are there, but there's other judges that are different years and stuff. And there's a lot of just huge names, a lot of people in the industry, a lot of great writers, a lot of great. I don't want to say just sci-fi because there's what, like 12 genres or something.
Yeah.
It's 17,000 words or less. Yes. I remember when Amelia told me, I said, "That's not a damn short story. It's a book." It's 17,000
Yeah.
a mini book. All right. Don't give me trouble, people, but it's a great thing you do. And the staff is fabulous. The judges are great. Everybody you're going to meet from Author Services and from Galaxy Press are going to be fabulous people. You're going to have a good time. What do you mean? Is it all free? It's mostly free. They pay for most of the stuff. They fly you out there. They put you up in a hotel room. I think you got to pay for your own meals. And you probably got to rent your own tux, but everything else is on them. Then they bring you,
and they have this huge award ceremony.
Yes,
it's kind of like the People's Choice Award. It's amazing.
It is. It's a big, huge gala they put on, just like any other gala you see in Hollywood. Matter of fact, there are several put on it. Yeah, it's good.
And then they teach you about press, and they go ahead and get newspaper articles out there for you. They want you to succeed.
They want you to succeed.
The purpose behind this is, as I said earlier, writers started out as readers. We want stuff to read.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing. L. Ron Hubbard said, and I'll quote it wrong, so forgive me, but what he said is society grows on its dreamers, and we need more of them. And people who write science fiction and fantasy, we're kind of on the front line of dreaming. Also, the artists are on the front line of dreaming. A lot of our artists end up being, working in the film industry in a huge way. You got people like Rod Pryor. Oh God, and I'm losing all sorts of names. He's one I remember the most. Well, you got the amazing Larry Elmore, who's been doing fantasy artwork for forever, and he's such a sweet guy. You just have an incredible amount of talent as the illustrator judges. And some pretty darn good talent as the writer judges, if I say so myself.
Yes, there are. There's a lot of good. Plus, like at the gala, the owner of Dragon Con was there. The other con from Utah was there. I mean, you just, these are people that you're not going to ever get to meet unless you happen to be here. The owner of Dragon Con is not going to come down and talk to you because he ain't going to know who you are. He's going to be like, "I'm going to waste my time with you." It's not that he's not a nice guy. He is. He's a cool guy. But, there's a lot of people that wants this man's attention. You're going to actually get to meet him and other people. And then, at the gala, there's actually Hollywood people come out. And there's a couple of people that's there, 5 or 6 movie stars this year, some TV stars there. So it's a great place to make contacts. Helena, you mean, why do they bring me a Helena? Yeah, I know what their name's about. You mean myself? I'm out there for 2 reasons. 1, to do interviews, and 2, to scare the crap out of them.
He succeeds at both.
Yes, I do. I want them to understand that they're in control. The media is not. It's their interviews. They need to take control of. Because, people like me, I mean, I'm a nice guy most of the time, but if you get up and aggravate me, I'm going to eat you for lunch. And so I want them to understand if like during a phone interview and somebody's just bullying them or picking on or saying their book's crappy, hang up the phone and say thank you. You don't have permission to use the interview, and just hang up and go on about your life. Because in the end, if you stay on too long, they're going to come out looking good and you're going to come out looking bad. Same thing with television interviews or any of that. You always have the right to get up and walk off the stage. And actually, it kind of makes you look a little bit snotty when you do it, which will make more people like you. And it makes them look like bullies, and that's more important. And let me tell you another little secret, especially for you authors. If a host tells you they read your book, question them. Yes, because 90% of them have not read your book. And when you put them on their back foot, you are now in control of the interview. And don't be scared to submit questions. If you're like a really nervous person, not like Todd's an easy interview, but if you're a nervous kind of person, send them questions. Most hosts will stick to the questions. They might wander around a little bit, but they'll stick to it, and you'll feel more comfortable in it. yes, you can send answers with the questions, but hosts are generally not going to do that. They're going to want to answer it however the hell they want to answer it. Oh, you mean your answers? Well, yeah, you can send your questions and answers. That's fine. You shouldn't
And
make it that descriptive.
by the way, you're getting some of the advice some of the writers and illustrators of the future get at the last day at the week-long conference, because Joe talks to them and says pretty much the same thing he just said here and more.
Yes.
So
because I'm friends with all these guys. I want to see everybody do well, and I tell them all the time if I can help them. Because who was it? One of the judges was telling me something about some asshole. I said, "You tell him." I said, "I'll tell you what. You schedule a meeting with him and let me deal with his ass. I'll show you how to deal with the media." I said, "When I'm through with him, he won't even talk to you again. If you listen again, he's like, who's that asshole that you sick on me?" Y'all forget in the old days I was mean. I've chilled with age. I'm mellowed with age, but I still got that mean streak in the back of me. Oh yeah, that was what I was famous for, is taking people who were lying and just ripping them into pieces. And I'm good at it. Yes, my wife. My wife was a good fighter, so it taught me a lot over the years. So was my mom, for that matter. No, really though, you're the ones in control. Doesn't matter what you do when it comes to the media. Yes, you can sell your soul to the media, and you might get you rich and famous, but somewhere down the line, it's going to bite you in the ass. It doesn't matter how big you are either; it can still bite you in the ass. You have to control the media. You cannot let them control you, because that's what they want. Just like they control the narratives now. Everything we see on television is controlled by two sets of media, basically, and you pick which side you want to believe in. I don't do that because I'm all over the place. And for American news, I usually watch BBC. I tell all my friends if they want to know what's going on in Canada, watch the U.S. because we got 6 Canadian hosts. So when I'm talking to them about what I see in the news here, they don't even know the hell what's going on in their country. So it's the same thing with us. I'm talking to my friends watching BBC over there, and they're going, "Joe, where you been?" Because it's just the way it is. It's like well, right now we're going to hear about the guy who tried to kill the judge. That's what we're going to hear, or tried to break into the judge's house. That's what we're going to hear for the next day and a half to 2 days. They just get on a kick and they stay on it. And my biggest problem is okay, there's a lot of bad news in the world. I understand. There's a lot of bad things going on, but you know what? There are good things. Can we at least on all my news shows, at the end of every show, I end the show with one good thing. Whatever it may be something stupid or goofy, but it's something that's good that makes you think, okay, the world isn't just a crap hole. And I think our media needs to get back to that, or at least reporting the media.
Yeah.
Get in trouble. I know we got to get out of here pretty soon because it's getting late. Oh shit! Yeah, we're like 20 minutes over. I'm surprised. Michelle hasn't sent me some nasty email. Like, get the hell off the radio. Wait. Well, the way StreamYard set up, we can double stream, but they don't get the main radio until I get off the air because I own the network, so that's how it works. Hey, I supersede everybody. That's just how it is. Todd, you're always great to have on, man. We'll have to get you back on and talk some more. Get into the books a little bit more often.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. I wanted to get into him with some more sci-fi too. Well, he's a big sci-fi fan like myself, and sometimes we'll geek out. I had John geeking out so bad one night the audience was laughing. And because John's sometimes people get confused with me sometimes because they see me in suits and they think I'm really just very straight, and I'm not. I like to play around, but John is, so I love to torture his ass. No, he's got a sense of humor. No, he's just a little more straight run than me. I'm tied myself up. Oh, he's a great guy. We get along fabulous. I have a great time talking to him. Matter of fact, in about 2 weeks, he's going to be coming on. We're going to be starting to plug for the podcast awards. We got 5 shows up, including his, for podcast awards. So yes, you're going to be hearing this all the time. Vote, 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 vote. You know how many times I said vote last year? Jesus, I could have retired if I had just a penny on each one. Again, guys, Todd McCaffrey, he's a great writer. I should be out there checking him out. You can find him on Amazon. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you can find him anywhere that they have books sold. I know when I searched a little while ago, he came up all over the place. Y'all seen just the one off Yahoo had the books listed. Amazon's got a bunch of books listed over there. Don't be scared. Buy a book. And remember this. And I tell this to people all the time. I know people whine because, it's economy's this, economy's that. So you can buy a book. You can read the book and give the book away as a Christmas present. Or just give it to your kid to read, or give it to somebody in your family to read. That's how I learned to read a lot of different things, because the books would get passed around in my family. By the time I'd get them, half the time everything was bent and pages were missing and shit. But still, I'd have to, hey, what happened here? There's no page here. Was this crucial? Did something happen here? But do it. I mean, we share books all the time. I'm a big promoter of literacy. I live in 2 states. I live in Louisiana and Mississippi, probably the 2 most illiterate states in the union. And we're going to try to change that. I noticed that just colleges are working hard on changing it, and projects like we got going where we're going to be donating books to the different schools. Well, just, if you can get a kid to read any of these anthologies, he's going to be fascinated. Unless he's just a little thug boy, even then he might still be fascinated. Just hold on before we get out of here. Is this it?
Can we get a little? Let's do a promo.
Oh, let's do a promo. Where is it? Wait, where's 38 at? There it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, let's see. There's Bob. Bob says hi, everybody.
Oh, good. Hi, Bob.
And this, of course, is 38. This is the one we're talking about right now. If you look over there, though, you will see there's how many? There's a whole bunch of books.
Them, yeah.
There's a bunch of there.
Yeah.
So that's like 30 through 38 right there. And then, like I said, Mission's Earth's there. And you can see this is what we were talking about earlier. Echo, when she was doing an interview, she's seen this. And this is an autograph copy, people.
Yeah.
You're not getting this.
Special.
Just like the damn picture behind me, y'all been trying to get. One guy offered me $5,000 for the damn thing. John sent me this. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. There it is.
Oh, wow.
John sent me this one. It's copy number 89.
Oh, wow.
It's signed the whole 9 yards. And he's like, I give you $5,000 for it. I said, you didn't give him a picture. Get off my damn picture. I had a great pad that Dory sent me that I rented a car to pick them up when John and Emily came in town. And it mysteriously disappeared somewhere. So me and Avis had been fighting about that for a few weeks. Because unfortunately, I know the guy who owns the place. So I don't want to call him a thief, even though I pretty much did. I'm sorry. I'm rude sometimes. But hey, guys, we got to get out of here. We run way late. If you want to find Todd, give me email, websites, anything you want him to go visit. Todd does a pretty good lecture too. Y'all should check him out. Oh, you're going to be speaking anywhere this rest of this year? I know we're getting halfway through the year.
Well, I'm gonna be at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, Comic-Con.
And then I'm going to be at Salt Lake City FanX, and I'm also going to be out here at Las Vegas Comic-Con.
When is the one in Salt Lake?
Salt Lake is in September now. I want to say the 18th to the 20th.
Yeah, I met no, I can't even remember his name. Now, him and I talked a lot. I hate when I get him with names.
Blake Castleman?
Yeah, the gentleman who runs it or is in charge of it.
Yeah, programming.
Yeah,
nice guy.
Yeah, him and I we had quite a few talks. He said, well, why don't you come up? We'll get you a table or something.
You should come on out.
So
they're going to have Bill Shatner as a guest there. You know?
Oh, are they?
How many more times are you going to see Bill Shatner?
I know that's actually a good sales point too.
Yeah.
Well, I used to go up there to lecture. We used to do a ufology lecture. Oh, I can't remember the name of the town. It's about 90 miles. It's in Utah, but it's about
Provo?
95 miles from Area 51 because we went down there as well. Oh, by the way, people, don't hit a cow because you got to pay for it. If you hit a cow on any of them highways in Nevada, New Mexico, or Colorado, or Arizona, you just bought it. And it don't matter how much damage you did to your car, the farmer ain't going to pay for your damage. Because there's signs everywhere. Don't hit our, they don't say expensive, but don't hit our cattle. There's even a couple places that says don't hit our steers. There's some pretty big bulls out there. And basically from where we left out of Utah to Area 51, there is no speed limit.
Boo.
Just no signs posted anywhere, and everybody's doing 100 miles an hour. Everybody. It's
yeah.
But it was we stopped off somewhere on the side of the road. I was with a local, and beautiful skies. It was so weird because the sky was just stunning all over, and then you could see this little white dot off to the west. It was Las Vegas. And you could just see steady planes headed that way. I mean, we must have counted 75 planes while we were sitting there. But It's a beautiful place to sit and watch. You could hear the coyotes, and there were deer all over the place. A couple of haunted cities we went through. It's a great little vacation. I don't know why I can't remember the town we were in, but it was a nice little town, and everybody was real nice there. And the lecture was held outdoors, like a Red Rocks thing. It was held outdoor in this little mountain in this little park. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm going to try to get up there because I'd love to come up. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. You mean Dragon Con? My sister lives in Atlanta, so I might go up to Dragon Con. Maybe.
Dragon Con is an amazing event. It's a lot of fun. I haven't been in a while, but I'll probably get back there at some point.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like it's its own different world. It's like Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con is 150,000 people. So it's another one of these, wow, this is so different from everything I've ever seen. Dragon Con is spread out over a bunch of hotels.
Yep.
And it's got this incredible energy. It's just marvelous, So if you want to go to a big convention and you don't want to do San Diego Comic-Con, consider DragonCon
Yeah,
or
good.
FanX. FanX is a heck of a lot of fun. They're
Yeah,
nice there in Salt Lake.
just if and see where you are, see what's closest to you. If you don't want to fly
Yeah.
somewhere, uh, I'm not recommending flying. I had to fly this year. I'll probably end up flying again. But people, just so you know, the planes are packed.
Oosh.
Even if you're in business class, the planes are packed.
Wow.
I mean, they are super packed. And you could have probably got first class pretty cheap a couple of months ago, but now not anymore. Not since the fuel's gone up through the roof.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be expensive to fly. Well, you can do like I do. I have cards with like different airlines, so I get 50% off anywhere I fly. But I'm not flying unless, and I can't afford first class. It's too expensive. And I'm just, when I flew out to LA a couple of weeks back, the planes, I was on 2 different planes going, 2 different planes coming, and they were just full.
Huh.
I mean, it was like being in sardines. And they were 727, not 727s. I forgot what they were, but they were Boeing something or another, the newer ones. And they're just packed. They're 3 rows on each side, and you're just stuffed. And I'm like I'm not like a little bitty guy either. So put me in them seats is like, oh, okay. I'm really wondering who them damn seats are made for. They ain't made for normal size people.
No, well, you got to, on that one, you got to go back hundreds of years. The idea of having different classes on airplanes came from the idea of having different classes on trains, came from the idea of having different classes on the old stagecoaches and carriages,
Yep.
because you could charge the really rich people an awful lot more.
Yep.
And that was the whole deal.
Actually, I've been thinking about doing some Amtrakking this year.
Oh, good.
Train riding's great. It's been a long time,
Yeah.
people. I mean, I'm talking since I was like 18, but like when I got out of boot camp, when I got out of tech school, I took the Delta Queen down from St. Louis down to New Orleans, spent a week on the boat gambling and getting in trouble. And people, I wasn't supposed to be gambling. I wasn't 21 yet. I was 19 actually. I just got out of boot, was in tech, and I decided to come home for a week. So I had 3 weeks off, so I took the ship down. It was great. It was a great trip. I took a train out to Phoenix and drove up to Sedona, which this year I think there's one that gets closer. Yeah, people, you can go to Sedona. Just bring money with you. Sedona's expensive.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting little town.
It is, and there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on around it. And a good friend of mine, Melinda Leslie, she does the UFO tours with the infrared cameras.
Ooh.
So yeah, tell her you know me. She might give you a discount. Yeah, we're pretty good friends.
Wow.
And we've done coast to coast together and stuff like that. So yeah, she's a nice person. That's what she does. It was a great idea. It's a good money maker. She does that and read tarot, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we got to get out of here. I keep telling we're going. We keep talking, guys and girls. Be sure to go check out Outer Run. I'm not sure who Michelle's guest is right now. I guess I should find out before I leave. But be sure to go out and check out the Outer Realm with Michelle Dosa Roche and Emilia Pisano. They're great ones. Michelle owns Canada's Most Haunted, so she's always an interesting character to listen to. And Emilia finds missing children and missing people and stuff like that. So they're a great couple together. They're not a couple. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it that way. I forgot what era we're living in right now. I don't want to accidentally get in trouble. And they're friends. Okay, they both have boyfriends and husbands. I don't want to get in there. Babylon 5 rocks. Some are born. Don't give me no trouble. No, I will send the Greys to your house to probe you, and it won't be an anal probe either. That could be even worse. Todd, are short stories or novels? Oh, I you know what? I seen that earlier. I forgot about that. She just wanted to know if you wrote short stories or novels or both.
I write mostly novels. I have a collection of short stories called The One Tree of Luna that you may be able to buy in paperback up on Amazon. And I have a number of short stories wandering around in various anthologies, and I can't keep track. Amazon's a great place to go to. You go follow an author, and it'll show you everything they've done and more.
Yeah, they will too.
Yeah.
They'll even find some of your missing teeth the Tooth Fairy missed out on.
Oh, man. That's good money.
It is. Amazon's a good place. We're listed over there. I know a lot of people keep their stuff listed over there. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think we're even on Alexa now. So you can say, Alexa, United Public Radio.
Wow.
And, oh, wait, I better shut up before it starts playing something. Damn. Okay. My Siri and my Alexa talk to each other.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not kidding. So the other night I'm doing a show. Who was on with me? I forgot. Whoever the guest was last week was an author. And we're talking, and all of a sudden Siri just starts talking in the middle of the show. It's not the first time she's done it either. I'm like, so then a couple of nights later, I'm on doing the news. She starts talking, and Alexa starts talking to her. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, man? I mean, are these people working the mics, listening, and now having a conversation through my phone system? What the hell is this?
Wow.
It's weird. It's weird. But Todd, again, thanks for coming on. You were great, man. I had a blast. I'll let you know what our
Thank you,
final
Joe.
was.
It was marvelous, and I'd love to do it again anytime.
Oh yeah, you're always fun. So, and like I said, you're an easy interview. It's not like not. All right, Christy, real quick, okay. I did say that, so it is true. So winners, when it comes to the winners, the author winners are much more chatty than the illustrators are. I've done 3 years of them now, and there's no doubt that they're chatty. But now when you get into the judge, it's a little bit different. The illustrated judges are actually a little bit more chatty than the author judges are, which I found strange.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. It's not that the author judges aren't chatty. They all can talk quite well. It's not what I meant. But for some reason, it's just a little weird. That's all. It's a weird thing. But I did say that. It's true. So I guess you were paying attention during that show, huh? Yes. Anyway, good night, everybody. I forgot who's coming on next. Oh, Zane's coming on next week. He was one of the winners, and I'll post all that up so you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And then Tim Powers will be on with me on Monday the 20th. He will be on a different show with us, and he's got a lot of stuff to his claim, so just look him up. It's going to be another fun interview. It's the first time I've actually got to sit down and really talk with Tim. The last 2 years, him and I, our schedules were like in different rotations for some reason. So I could catch it with Todd and Dean and them at the dinners, but a lot of times I didn't see Todd. I didn't see Tim. So, and then of course your roommate, he was interesting as all hell. He was funny as hell too. He's another winner. He's coming on until I can say his name. He'll be on. I think Kent Karmer's got him coming on in like 3 weeks or something. And so y'all get to meet him as well. Damn, I'm tongue-tied tonight. I know, huh? It's a good thing I'm not being paid tonight. I'd be giving refunds out. Anyway, good night, everybody. And I'll see y'all Friday night. We'll be doing the Centralist, so the news show will be on with Michael and I. I think Jay's joining us. And Sean said he might stop by as well. We will be bringing everybody up to date on the local, everything that's going on in our country and around the world. And we will do it with a twist. Oh, no. So y'all know, we don't do opinions in the first hour of the show. We just do the news, like news should be done. We do a lot of research on it, and we do the news like it should be reported as news. The second hour, and we will tell you in the second hour that these are our opinions about the stories we reported in the first hour. That way you get the news and you can make up your own mind. And if you want to hang around and listen to what we think about the news, then you can hang around and listen to that as well. We always done it like that. It used to be a 4-hour show when it was news on the flip side. It was 5 million people listened to it. It was a great show. Yeah, it was a great show, but my co-host lost her mind.
Oh.
So we closed it down. I made good money too. But anyway, good night, everybody. Stay tuned. Don't stay tuned. Get over and go see the Outer Realm because Michelle's she's probably putting a voodoo curse on me as we speaking. With that flaming red hair down her ass and shit. She's a demon. She's Canadian Elvira is what she is. Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Good night.